Yeah, they're coming across the final corner now. The pace car is officially in, and we'll wait to see when Dianorine drops that throttle pedal. Indeed, he's done it already, and he's managed to get the jump there. On the background, you can see that Carroll is trying to keep up. Kenton Young has unfortunately lost that position going into turn number 1, swooping on the right-hand corner, and it is Dianorine who will hold that through Redgate.
Through Coppice Corner, they went down the old back straight as they go side by side now. That is Odom going up the inside here in this final sector in particular. A lot of traction zones for that Porsche to use its superior advantage. And who's that with a huge end in the black McLaren just behind this of Sunday? That was Lewis, who's made a big send on that inside curb. And just behind Sunday, it's kicking off between Rice and Lewis here. Then side by side, BMW versus the McLaren. And up the inside, the McLaren into Redgate they go again. Beautiful bit of racing. Drivers just being a little extra cautious here. Risco gets the up and under, down through Hollywood, into the Craner curves, moves already done.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the first time we see that yet tonight. Jesse Laverin behind, I believe. Sorry, it was all the way. Another car, that's Kingston Mullings again around. He's got to watch out for there. Dianorine's, yeah, he's lost the lead.
On the way up to Goddard's now, the final corner. Let's take a look at what happens here. On the brakes, oh my days, from the back marker.
I do maybe want to see which McLaren that possibly was with Dianorine. I think there goes Kenton Young on the curb as we talk about it. And the big thing about Dianorine is I think he got a bit lucky during that netcode. During the incident. Russell comes off on the inside line. That almost looked like it could have been contact, and Russell actually goes off. And Dianorine has gotten into the lead of this race. So this is coming out of the Fogarty chicane over here, down towards the hairpin, and Melbourne hairpin. And what a switchback move from Mayo Dianorine. There's a little bit of contact there, though, and then Parks Miller will get up ahead. And now coming towards the likes of Goddard's, and Mayo Dianorine again has the inside line.
Someone who's thinking a little bit less realistically would say better weather.
It's a flip. Oh my goodness. The parents of Landon Batson, hide your eyes over here, because this is a rather intense one for the young guy. And I mean, this is his cockpit view. My goodness, that is heavy rotation for the young 7-year-old. And
you know, you're gonna have crashes, you're gonna have incidents.
Anderson's backwards.
Yes, yeah, what a shame. That's through the Fogarty. And there's another Porsche.
The overcut. Aaron Sunday will come out of the pit stop now, though, and he's been able to keep it nice and consistent, but Davis is struggling now on the outside line of Battaglia, and they're bumper to bumper. They both pull each other off circuit. That's going to be a free position. Yeah, no, definitely not. Just a question from the virtual grandstand. It's just Rachel from OHND asking about the interval timers on the left-hand side again. So just remind about those interval colors. Russell goes sideways. My goodness, Russell loses it, and he collects Collishaw.
Third and fourth was about to on a car. This is Caden Parks Miller over the curb. Round she goes. There's already another.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mission here for Collishaw to try and get past Carroll. The virtual grandstand asking what happened to Sunday there. If you did just miss the replay, he just lost. They both go round. It's contact. And it's over again for another Porsche, and Collishaw has been tipped upside down. What a massive accident here. At Donington Park, he rounds the final corner out of Goddard, and it's going to be the race win. Mayo Dianorine will take it yet again for the championship lead, further extending that charge, and what a great finish to finish off strong.
But for the final time this evening, the third to last round, it's Hooverson who gets us away well. At the line, we are green and go as the back runners still come through the Goddard's hairpin. Down in towards turn 1, Hooverson leads with the Aston Martin looking to make a move on that inside line. They all filter through Redgate, 2 or 3 abreast at times. This is what has happened through the foggy S's. This is Andrew Herschel then, coming down towards the Melbourne loop. We're just going to see... Oh no, same as the Amregs, just so late on the... The Golden Pigeons have all hit each other.
Balla's falling down the back. Yeah, Balla is...
Is it exactly a carbon copy of what happened to Marox just a few moments ago? Is he going to get on that inside curb? Yes, he is. Round she goes.
Peterson got the penalty that moved him down. But still, he was up there and he was able to be shifted. Grabowski gets a little bit... and there goes Grabowski. That's an overtake there for Marley Joff. To control Presley. I did see a black flag penalty, but I also see a yellow flag. So he served the yellow and he's got a black, unfortunately. There's contact. That's for Tyler King and Robertson. They've gone around onto the racing line, but that could have been bad. Tyler King into the wall trying to get that Mercedes. Rotated again. Soto between, I believe, Torcho bumping each other down that down the Craner curves over here. And it's getting very close, and there it goes down the Craner curves. And
Palla's got a problem here. He is incredibly slow. Grabowski's gone past. Well, is that the defending... Yeah, it looks like it's sorted because he's got back going. But is that possibly the defending champion here? Out the running for this champion. So there you go. Keep your eyes on Marox. He's put the slick tyre on.
Unless it begins to rain again, but that racing line is so dry now at this point that those wets are just completely overheating themselves as we see Marot's major advantage over Brown.
It is going to hurt you. Morley Joff on the dry tyres. Hooverson and Dragotta have stayed on the wets. What about Peterson? Peterson has also stayed on the wet tyre. So a huge decision from the championship leader in this race. So the drivers aren't going to be too worried there. And look at this. He was over 2 seconds behind at the start of this lap from Pedersen. And now look, he is right under the rear wing of the Mercedes-Benz. He's got the grip. He's got the confidence. He'll be on the racing line in the braking zone. Morley Joff looks to go around the outside of Pedersen, who goes a little bit deep. Joff can't get the momentum out the corner, though.
And as long as Peterson holds that dry compound, as you can see what he's doing, he's completely blocking Joff from gaining the advantage. This is going to be a bit of a difficult one, but there it is. And there it's lost. Yeah, this is going to be the difficulty on the wet. The young gun to get up in front.
Oh, it's raining! It's raining! The slick tyres was nearly 5 seconds a lap quicker. The rain has just started. But is this a passing shower, or is this the downpour till the end? We'll wait and see. But look, still Grabowski and Joff have so much more confidence over Peterson. Grabowski, though, a day late and $1 short. Hairpin. That allows Joff back through. And still look at the confidence and the grip that Joff has out the corner.
Yeah, I think Joff's officially got the position made now. Thankfully, he's up ahead of Nikolai Peterson. Go look at Molly Joff. It was 4.5 seconds. It's 1.7 seconds to the leaders now. Joff is closing in absolutely tremendously fast. There he is on the likes of Dragotta. He's up into second position now. I think maybe he's just got a blacked out livery up on the front. No, he's missing a bumper.
No, he's missing
it. Hooverson's missing a bumper, and that's just going to be even more of a disadvantage now against Marley Joff, as he's going to get ahead in the next corner, possibly through the chicane he goes, and indeed he is. Joff reclaims the lead of this race. Some more news, and I think it's from some guys who are actually sitting in a possible call with Joff and the other drivers, but it seems the rain is only in the first and last sector of the track, which means that through the most pinnacle sections of the track, Sector 2 and 3. Grabowski is just making errors, though. He's going on the wet curbs. He needs to avoid them.
It is indeed. What a race here at Donington Park. The thrills and spills of Donington Park. Here we go, side by side. Panicia and done it right around the outside. To warn, in fact. And that, I think, is what we're seeing here. Even though that rain is falling, the wets just cannot cool down enough. And now the top three, all slick runners,
to block him off from those wet compounds. So even if they do start to make errors and they do start to, underperform due to the wet track, it is a long distance that Hooverson and Dragotta have got to work up. And here again, here comes Marat onto Dragotta just after spinning. And I think even at this point now, Matthew, even if it starts to rain to the point of the track becoming unbearable for the slicks, it is only 5 minutes. It's about 2.5 laps that they've got to hold on for. I think it's manageable at this pro level. Up towards Goddard's, and this will be it for Molly Joff. Marat gets a black flag penalty. That's Marat falling off, unfortunately, on the final lap. And now Molly Joff, through Goddard's he will go, and he will take the win after a massive strategy pull. Great spotting from his team. Molly Joff takes the win here at Donington Park.
Great stuff. Peterson's now down to 10th in this race because Rold has got past him. Hooverson's got Dragotta and Rosselli on the back. Rosselli could try and get past the wet runners. Hooverson's now got a black flag at the very end. So that will give Rosselli the top 5. Will finish. It won't actually because Dragotta's now past Hooverson on the circuit. So it's all going on.
Thanks to everybody who joined us in the virtual grandstand and keeping everything alive. And we'll see you next week out on track at Imola for the penultimate round of the League by Foxxtecca. Have a good night. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
It's officially time to go racing again here for season number 2 of the League by Foxxtecca. We head into round number 8 at the Circuit di Enzo di Ino Ferrari. Apologies about that. A bit of a Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari. A bit of a jumble up, but the simpler term for it is Imola. The Imola Grand Prix, you've watched it on Formula 1 probably before, and a couple of other places in track, but we get to watch it here tonight for the GT3 racing, the AM class and the Pro class here for the League by Foxxtecca. Tonight, I'm joined in the commentary box by Jeremy Scott and Shay Wilson. In the production booth, we do have Jim Cunningham as well. Like always, unfortunately, Matthew is experiencing a couple of issues yet again, so he won't be here tonight, but hopefully he gets to return for the final next week. But in any case, welcome in. We are very excited for today's racing. It is Format B for today, so two very heated up races, Heat 1 and Heat number 2, with that reverse grid coming into Heat number 2. But Jeremy, welcome in. I think first time here on Foxxtecca, but nonetheless, I think it's going to be a great night of racing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been watching Foxxtecca from afar and really excited to finally be a part of the series for, at least just one night, and really excited to see what happens here at Imola. You think of it as an F1 track, but if you've been watching, ELMS or WEC around here, you know how good these GT cars are around Imola. So I'm really excited to see what happens, and let's have some fun tonight.
Absolutely so. And I mean, before we go into points, Shay, welcome in again. How are you feeling for tonight's racing?
I'm feeling great. We're coming up towards the end of the series, and as we get to the end, I'm pretty sure we're going to start to feel the energy from some of these drivers. Maybe they might be a little bit more aggressive and go for that. Those are really, really important points. This is going to be a movie, and I'm really excited.
Absolutely so. A movie is the correct definition, I'd say, for this. The second last round, penultimate round, and we've got a couple of championship points up for grabs, which we will be seeing on your screen now. We'll head to the AM class. We'll get the pro standings a little bit later once we head into that. But it is going to be Mayo Dianorino holds it out quite strong with a 468-point lead. And he does have the chance to win here tonight if he scores more than 80 points. Remember that there is 2 races, so there's the opportunity for that. So watch out for Mr. Dianorino, who, of course, is in a new livery again tonight. Caden Poxmiller, second position with 424 points. Jimmy Carroll just a bit further behind. They have been fighting relentlessly over the past few rounds in third with 410 points. Alex Russell, fourth position. Let's hope he can keep it all the way towards the end today. 404 points to his name. Troy Anderson, one of the virtual grandstands favorites, currently sitting in 5th with his Corvette, unless he's made a last-minute change. Evan Davis down in 6th with Andre Saba down in 7th. Zachary Battaglia with 305 points down in 8th. Pierre Valencia will be taking 9th. And to round off the top 10, it is indeed Clayton Sanchez. The rest are from 11th downwards. You can see as it'll scroll progressively through the screen. We're not going to go too deeply through it. You can see the rest there. And Sunday down in 15th as well. He's been quite a name. And so we'll have to just watch and see what the drivers can do yet today. As I did mention already, Format B racing, it usually leads to a little bit more exciting racing. Although GT3s aren't necessarily made for the sprints. They are made for more endurance style racing, like Jeremy mentions, the ELMS and WEC. It's much more, I would say, exhilarating to watch these cars going around for so long. But unfortunately tonight, we've got the 25 and 35. And so we'll have to see how the rest of it goes. But qualifying has officially started 5 minutes through, and Dianorino pops it up to the top with a 142.3.
And that's no surprise, seeing how good he's been so far in the AMs. While we have a little bit of qualifying left over, let's actually take a look at this track map, as this is an absolutely neat layout, especially because this is right in the center of town. So you see, you go through 1, and then the 2-3 complex, of course, that's Tamburello. As we know, we lost the late, great Aaron Senna here, and that's why they had to make it into a chicane. Then you take the run all the way up through the Variante Villeneuve, which also is a chicane that was made as part of the tragic 94 San Marino weekend. Nice little tight turn 7, that's Tosa. And then you got a little kink, turn number 8, which sets you up for the left-hander, Pierre Torella, which, as we see here in our map, is number 8. Down into 10 and through 11. A little bit of a short straightaway, but you're still angling yourself around through Acquarelli Minerelli. And then you've got a nice long run to Variante Alta. Now, this little section here, it's going to be a little messy for some of the GT drivers, and that's what makes it very interesting. And then another short run over to Ravazza. You'll see a lot of fans over there on their balconies watching these cars go through. They are rabid here at Imola to watch them around. Then you take the left-hander and set yourself up for Variante Bassa, and that is a lap around Imola. It's a quick lap, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how this all will play out.
Yeah, and if you've ever driven Imola, you'll know that there's a couple of these corners and chicanes that can really test the driver, especially under braking. We know Acqua Minerale, it gets a little bit hectic on that braking zone. It's a downhill right-hander, similar to that left-hander of Bahrain, if you've ever seen it. And boy, oh boy, you do have to watch out on the brakes there, especially when it's raining. It can turn that car around and facing the rear side traffic, but thankfully nothing here today. we'll have to see how this is all going to work out. But for the rest of it, we do still have qualifying running. 7 minutes has been done. We've got another 3 or so minutes left to go, and Parks Miller has been able to park it on P1. Sorry for the pun. That was that was pretty cringe from me. But Parks Miller puts it up on top pole, 142.0. So that's a flat time coming from him. But Denorine is very, very close. As you can see there, about 0.05 of a second difference between first and second. Anderson currently sits in third. I mean, Shay, we're looking like a slightly different podium here that we normally traditionally see. Anderson's up in third. Obviously, it can still change towards the end of qualifying, but I mean, this is looking pretty good for something new today.
It is looking pretty good, and that's especially coming with our common race leaders being up at the front. It feels nice to know that there's someone in the back that might shake things up at the front a little bit, so that we're not just watching our 2 maybe common winners just going around and around.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, as we're mentioning it, Sauber puts himself up into the podium now. So completely different change of the podium that we normally see. And just to show you guys how interactive the virtual grandstand is through the AM class, I open up our chat window and I'm already having to scroll. We are only 7 minutes into qualifying. This is how you know the community is engaged. And most of the virtual grandstand cheering Mr. Aaron Sunday on. He's got all the support from his team at OHND Racing. And currently, where does he sit on that qualifying ladder? Trying to find him. I think we do see him somewhere. He has not gotten a lap in just yet. So hopefully he gets one out soon. Is that a new livery from Aaron Sunday? Indeed it is. Another new livery. My goodness, the team at OHND have been working hard. They heard the comments about Denorine and they were like, nah, we got to get a slice of that pie. And look at that. What an absolute livery. Shay, what's the thoughts on that one?
Oh, this one's killer. I'm loving all the multicolor, just all the multicolor that's around it. It gives this very like street look. And we got Jimmy Carroll at the top, just to, cut through that. We've been talking about all these timing tower changes during qualifying and what we can possibly see when the race begins. And I think that we're going to see a whole lot of difference. We're seeing Parks Miller and Denorine move down 1 position each, with Jimmy Carroll leading right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looked like our top 3 was looking back to normal, but Sanchez goes and parks it on the podium now. It was looking like Carroll, Parks Miller, and Denorine, which is something we've seen before in a previous round or 2, but never mind. Sanchez comes in, completely takes it away. Denorine, I need to find out where this is inspired by. Is this like a Williams-inspired livery or something? He's usually old Rothman's livery, because he always pulls it from something. Obviously, last one was from that Lotus 65. And, it's great to see the inspiration he pulls from everything. But that is officially our qualifying session practically done and dusted. A couple of drivers still trying to get those laps in. Here again is Mr. Aaron Sunday. And no time on the board yet for him. So let's hope this could be his lap. He's got a couple of cars going around just behind him. As you can see, through Aqua Minerali he will go. And that's the 10-minute clock. We have got about 10 drivers here today who have not gotten a qualifying lap in. That is extremely unfortunate for the virtual grandstand favorite here, and Aaron Sunday is going to have to start from the box, unfortunately.
Well, and of course, in a short sprint race like this, you really need to get qualifying in. For the longer races, not so much, but action's going to happen fast here at Imola, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jimmy Carroll, though, pops it on the top. Drivetrain and Motorsport team's going to be happy. That's a front row lockout for himself and Caden Parks Miller. Clayton Sanchez sits at 3rd position with Denorine alongside to the championship leaders. Got a little bit of work to do here today. Andres Saba sits in 5th position. Evan Davis takes 6th for the Davis Motorsports team. Troy Anderson coming in with 7 from the Velocity Server Racing team. And Alex Russell, unfortunately not the best qualifying we've seen yet today for him. He starts down in 8th. Kingston Mullings down in 9th position. He was your interviewee last week, followed by Kamari Odom in 10th position. Julian Reese down in 11th. And Shelton Lewis will take 12th.
Good to see my buddy Shelton Lewis out here. Joe Coleman and Rain Woodside make up row 7. Then you've got Alan Ware and Rick Swiderski. That's a good old Chicago name right there in 16th. 17th, Benjamin Betchel and Dayton Harrison. You take a look at row 10. It's Alejandro Valencia. It's Pio Alejandro Valencia and Ken Majory. In row 11, it's Justin Clubbing and Zachary Batigla. And row 12, it's Uven Sandra Amiga and Chandler Runk.
At 25th onwards, Lewis Holloway with Edward Ramirez alongside from Clutch's night crew. Jacob Swope will take 27th and Ethan Halfide will take 28th position. Alexis Barrington, the first of the females, starts herself down in 29th. Zachary Wood down in 30th with Landon Batson, the youngest driver of 7 years on grid, 31st position. Timothy Jadubal, 32nd for him. Samuel Burnett alongside Vegard Hendrickson will take 34th. Aaron Sunday, unfortunately, no qualifying for there, down for the OHND Racing team. He takes 35th. And from 36, we do have Jacob Perry, John Smallwood, a couple more to come from. It's after him, it's Thomas Natalia, apologies, then John Smallwood. And Kristen Montgomery, the other female driver, unfortunately not getting that qualifying lap in. She starts last year for the number 98 car, so she's got a whole grid of expectation up in front. The question is, can she make do with what she's got and possibly climb the ranks?
Let's see what happens here as feel warming up their tires. I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. And of course, I don't know if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, but it's looking a little froggy down there.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely see the same. I mean, we'll get our weather charts up on the right. I don't think we have rain expectancy yet today, but the overcast racing might just bring a little bit of a scare in. You can see there's 0% precipitation or any chance. 16 kilometers wind, 19 degrees ambient, 23 track, so it's a little bit cooler than normal circumstances, but it is teammate versus teammate on that starting line, and they're going to have to watch out not to compete with each other too much. Yeah, the Porsche Pace car pulls into the pit stop now, and it's going to be a great lunge down into turn number 1 there for the likes of Jimmy Carroll, and I believe he jumps all the way up in P1 right now. Parks Miller just up behind has managed to keep it, but Dean Areen just behind will try and keep that train going. You can see the rest of the cars cascading down towards turn number 1, and all from the backside have been able to keep it relatively okay through the straight. But I mean, that's the easy part of it. The next is a couple more chicanes. Bechtel's gone round. It's the multicolored Aston Martin who finds himself off in the grass, and what of the camber and cast, the Mercedes also goes off. But for the likes of Jimmy Carroll, 1.5 seconds of a gap already. And as you can see, this is why Dean Areen alongside already fighting for second and moves up to second just after 4 corners. But look who also squeezes in. It's Evan Davis who moves himself into second. What a great start to this race that we've gotten to see here.
And Dean Areen doing all he can to get around Davis there as they work their way into the next chicane. Still single filed over second on back. That's giving Carroll a 2.5 second lead. Look at that. Huge gap as you're 2-3 wide near the back as well. Dean Areen back to third place for the time being as Davis. I'll tell you what, he's a fly in the ointment as Dean Areen trying to do all he can to get into that second place and chase down Carroll to try and get maximum points. The championship is in his hands and he wants to make sure to get it tonight. But either way, lots of battling for second place on back. Roselle with a slowdown penalty. But Carroll, look at him in that green Mercedes, making his way through the final couple of corners. And this is an absolute fantastic start for Carroll. Not so much for Dean Areen, who thought he could take his second row qualifying position and make his way around. There's Shelton Lewis in the grip. Liveried, I believe that's a McLaren, but either way, still a great start for everybody.
Yeah, Russell had a pretty good start, but unfortunately getting that slowdown, he's had to move down. Dean Areen moves back up into second now, just up ahead of Evan Davis. And so that top 3 is going to get very, very pungent into the next couple of corners. I mean, look at how close it is now, because Parks Miller is getting re-involved in that battle, but all the way back towards Troy Anderson. I mean, Shay, we've seen a completely different change of, what the podium is looking like. Usually the top 3 keep themselves pretty fixed, but this time around, to put himself in the charts.
It seems that the drivers might have had some better practice time around the course. It seems as if Carroll's had an amazing start this night. He's so far away from everyone that was first.
Amazing. Oh, apologies to pause you there, Shay. Unfortunately, Evan Davis has been taken out just coming out of the hairpin there, and now he's completely facing backwards on track. That's going to be another left fender bump, unfortunately, against the wall. And not going to lie to you, I was expecting something to come up soon. It looked like the racing was looking a bit too oddly consistent. Usually there is going to be 1 or 2 incidents that happen, and there's the first of the night. And Evan Davis from that podium position will drop down to the backside of the grid. Very unfortunate to see for the driver.
That's not what he wanted. And of course, exit out of Tosa. That's what left him basically worse for wear. Lewis up in the top 10 here so far in lap number 2 as now he tries to chase down Odom for that 9th place. And it sounds like we got a replay of that incident. Of course, it was absolutely fantastic to see those two. And looks like it could have been a solo incident coming out of Villeneuve, setting up for the hairpin here at turn number 7. And it may have been, that was just a touch. That's all that happened is the Anarine gets a little loose coming off the corner. And sometimes that's all it takes around here because the action is just so tight on the course.
Yeah, I'm not too sure which of the teammates it is. I think it was Parks Miller as he was down in third. So Parks Miller just on the outside there of the hairpin. And I would classify that as a racing incident. Nothing much that both of the drivers could do there. It is just one of those things. And unfortunately, dropping well off is going to be Mr. Evan Davis. But for the time being, our podium has returned back to what we normally see. The top three, Carroll, Deanarine, and Parks Miller, have been keeping up quite nicely up at the top. Alex Russell is now consistent and fighting around with Kingston Mullings, but Kingston Mullings is finding grips here. I mean, getting just up ahead of Alex Russell now, and he's really making it a mission. Russell did get up ahead of Saba at the start of the race, and then obviously got himself a bit of a yellow flag and had to return it. And Kingston Mullings saw that opportunity, dove up on the inside of the Mercedes driver, and now he's just keeping it up in front. So great control over here by Kingston Mullings. And this is how it's gone. 5 minutes to go. Shay, we've only got 20 minutes left of racing. I mean, do you have any predictions in the tank yet? Aaron Sunday's up 12th. I mean, the things are scaling all over here.
Well, when it comes down to predictions, I can't really call it, but I can say that our friend Carroll is all the way up in the front. I think that at least for this first race, he might have it. Usually when you're that far up in front, you don't need to worry about so much of the racing in the back. It's just keeping your line and keeping your race well. And these guys, usually when they're in the front, they can keep a cool head. So I think that I'll call Carroll for the first race.
Yeah, I think so too. He's got the stride, 3.4 seconds. I do see some of our members in the virtual grandstand asking for a live timings board. I do know we've got one. I'll just need to check if we can pop it in there. We'll see if we can put it in the chat there for a couple of the virtual grandstand members to have a look into that. But for the rest of the race, for the time being, that top three is going to stay pretty fixated up at the top. And for the likes of Kingston Mullings, he's still been able to hold off Alex Russell. And I would have thought by now he would have got past, but seems not. The big Mustang is completely planting himself up ahead, and Kamari Odom is slowly starting to close in on this battle, and Russell has got to watch out because coming out of the hairpin, it is going to become closer and closer between himself and Russell. As you can see, Russell just not able to get past Kingston Mullings for the time being. A couple of drivers also fighting towards the backside. Here comes Swiderski, and he's on the inside line, I believe, of Rain Woodside now, coming into the next corner. It is side by side, and around they will go over here. So Swiderski still holding off on the backside of Woodside. That's a back marker who's getting moved upon over there. Batalia's in that fight. Harrison's in that fight as well. Valencia's just behind. And my goodness, quite a nice little train we've got at the back here, Shay.
It's a great train. I do, however, have some small concerns that we might see a few more incidents on track. I don't know if you saw the practice session, but these guys were getting really, really, really crazy during practice before qualifying. So I think with those two chicanes and the hairpin that slow down the traffic, we might see some more later into this race.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gotten some insight, though, into Deanarine's livery, where it comes from, and it's actually a Ayrton Senna tribute. So he seems to be pulling all the classics, it seems. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed anything from Ayrton Senna, but nonetheless, great livery. I obviously don't know the driver well enough, but one of the members of the DO Racing team came in and confirmed it for us. So yet another banger on the board there for Deanarine. Thank goodness we don't have to make the livery winning choice. That's Mr. Chris Harris's job. We just get to suggest. And Deanarine has been racking up the points for that livery board with changing it up. But still got to say, even though you spend so much time on these, the Cherry Blossom one still sits at the base of my heart for now. What a great livery that was for Suzuka. Further back, though, Russell is still not able to get by, and Mullings has increased his racecraft skills by quite a margin this season. I mean, look at the defense from the driver up in front. And I mean, he has just been able to keep Russell at complete bay and completely kill his drive. And we know what Russell can do. Slightly a bit less inconsistent driver, unfortunately, but he is a very, very quick driver. And so it is a bit odd to see him sitting behind Kingston Mullings. Unfortunately, we did see Alex Russell having quite an eventful Donington Park last week, if you were here watching with us. Very fast on the track, just not able to keep all four tires planted. And that did lead him to have a rather unfortunate result towards the end of it. But as we approach towards the 10-minute mark of this race, almost 15 minutes left of racing, no pit stop strategies in these sprints. And so it all comes down to what the drivers can do out on track. But I mean, Shay, for the time being, I think things are going to start to scale a bit more. As we mentioned, I think the podium is pretty much fixed, except for that third position slot. Parks Miller does have pressure from Clayton Sanchez.
I think I actually would think that's a pretty accurate prediction. I think a lot of our action is going to come from the middle. As I say that, Jutable has just went into the wall. Was that just like a touch of the grass?
Yeah, I mean, we'll try and get a replay of it. Looked like it was onto the entrance, on the exit of the left and right chicane, because now he's coming through Rivatsa, and looks like he's still okay. This is on one of the Clutches Night Crew cars. Shay's holding his breath, hoping that nothing was involved here with his team member up in front. Looks not completely self-inflicted there for Timothy Jadubal, just trying to correct the car. Yep, there we go. You can breathe easy. For anyone who doesn't know, that is Shay's team. He manages them, so he's hoping not to see them involved in an incident, and fortunately they continue strong up in front. But this is now Julian Reese alongside Coleman. It's the two BMWs, and not a common car pick that we've seen across the grid. Someone's joined in though. It's Alan Ware. He now joins in just up ahead of, I believe, Coleman, and gets up through the likes of Aqua Minerali. On the outside line, he will go in that Borderlands-style Mustang. Got to say, I love that etching art all over it. And what a great dive up on the inside. Ware just saw an opportunity, dove in, and took it with ease.
Now, Tristan, you've mentioned the BMWs being a more unusual choice. However, I think that there's some gold there, because if you've noticed, Julian Reese has made a monumental improvement in his positions during the races and during the finishing in these last few races with that car. I think there's some magic there.
No, definitely so. As now we see Alan Ware, he's completely shifted the odds there for himself and moves up into 11th. Coleman will also now go alongside Reese. So lots of fighting there, but I do have to agree with you. The BMW is one of the more easier GT3s to learn and drive. It just seems like it hasn't been the fastest pick here. Maybe on that fixed livery setup that we see at Foxxtecca, a couple of the other cars have just been the better, more comfortable choice. Coleman goes up on the inside, and I could see that wasn't going to end well. That was a bit of a late lunge there for Joe Coleman, and that is going to be Alan Ware. Kingston Mulling's gone off as well. What on earth has happened to Kingston Mullings? He drops far off, and that's coming through turn number 1, chicane somewhere. He's lost it on the grass, and he was fighting with Russell up in 7th. Unfortunately, Kingston Mullings down to 18th. He will go. This is through turn number 1. Russell's behind. Oh, who rejoins the track on the right-hand side? And Mullings gets absolutely spun on the right, with a bit of a right tap there. Very unfortunate for the young driver. Only 16 years of age, and I know his dad is in the virtual grandstand watching every single one of his races. That is going to be so heartbreaking to see Mullings drop all the way down from such an aggressive position. He was able to pull at the top. That is, I don't know about you, Shay. That is just unfortunate to see for Kingston.
I think we've all been in that position. It always hurts. But from here, you just have to focus up. Don't get too antsy and fight your way back to where you were.
Yeah, that is going to be the game strat. Or, it was indeed Saba. As we do see, he's lost out that position to Russell. So I'm assuming through the turn 1, the first turn 1 left-hander, he's lost it somewhere. But one of the Dianorino brothers, again, mentioning what Jeremy Scott mentioned, the reason for the tribute livery from Dianorino is obviously this was the track where Ayrton Senna unfortunately completed his last lap. Coming through turn number 1 is exactly why a chicane was built there. That entire turn 1 used to be one flat-out left-hander, and it did cause a couple of downforce issues, especially on those older gen Formula 1 cars, which obviously led to the death of Ayrton Senna after his incident here at Imola. Many years ago, a couple of decades now, but still living out that tribute. And we can see it, a little bit of a tap on the backside of Dayton Harrison. He's been able to catch it coming onto the grass there, but not ideal circumstances for him. He's going to lose out to Klubine and possibly even the driver behind. I'm not too sure. A little bit of a reactionary crash there. He did get a tap on the back inside. Kingston Mullings is off again. What on earth has happened to Kingston? He's lost it. It looks like through the fast right-hander and possibly clipped the inside curb. It's what it looks like. Possibly a bit of the bouncing on the inside curb. So yeah, he comes through the left-hander. And this is going to be a fast left and immediate right onto quite a big sausage curb. Nope, back another involvement with one of the Drivetrainer Motorsport cars, unfortunately. And he just goes off onto the left-hand side. Kingston Mullings cannot catch a break right now. And man, Shay, that is, again, not looking good for him down here.
And we have another look at Harrison's off track recently. Coming up real tight on the side. And we have a slight tap to a snap into the dirt. Just a slightly reactionary, maybe with a little bit of trying to figure out how to control the car after that light tap. But his wipeout wasn't as bad.
I keep on getting Kingston Mullings' age wrong. I keep on saying he's 16. I apologize. He's 14. I keep on thinking I've said 14 and then I get corrected for 16. Oh no, why do I see Russell on the cameras? It's over the left-hand curve, the big sausage. And yep, that's enough to throw Mercedes off, unfortunately. Russell goes around and he's going to have to try and bring it back up. But correction on that, Mullings is 14 years old, so still a very, very young driver finding the grips. And I mean, you saw what he could do in defensive-wise against Russell. Unfortunately, just not finding a bit of a break here. Let's hope he can find it towards the rest of this red. 10 minutes left, and unfortunately, Shay, we mentioned that Carroll had quite the gap, but that's been completely reduced down to under 1 second now between Carroll and Deonorine, and we'll have to see what the two of them are going to be able to do. Deonorine is fighting for a championship here, and so he is going to be hungry to get up into P number 1.
I have no problem with this. I'd love to see Deonorine channel that spirit of Ayrton Senna and come back for the win today. I think that would be amazing and super fitting for his livery choice.
Yeah, absolutely. If he could win here with the Senna livery tribute, that would probably be his ideal circumstances as well. Marley Joff joins in on the virtual grandstand. The other championship, the other driver who stands a chance to win the championship for pro class, and he's joining in on the AM just to get a bit of a scope in to see how the drivers are doing. Very close, but he's only got 9 minutes left of racing here. He's got to make it work in the next couple of laps, or otherwise nothing's going to count for. Yeah, he did have a bit of a blink there. Hopefully that's not going to happen when the actual racing gets started. As you can see, they dropped a little bit of time to Carroll. Mullings moves up now against the 18th position driver over there. And they continue going around track. Oh, Mullings gets himself a yellow flag. That's obviously from going off track, unfortunately. Coleman gets himself a yellow flag as well while fighting with Shelton Lewis from the Clutches Night Crew. And so fortunate there for Shay's team. He's not going to be contested. Is Coleman going for an overtake with the yellow flag? Indeed he is. And he's going to try and get ahead and then use the yellow flag penalty to try and just slow it down. And this is a bit of aggressive driving from a driver with the penalty here. Joe Coleman, he's trying to keep himself up ahead, and he's been able to get up ahead, but he's got to serve that penalty now.
I believe the virtual stewards might be hearing about this one. Oh, never mind. He cleared it. Good on him.
Yep, that's what I thought was going to happen. He was going to stay up in front and then clear it somehow by slowing down aggressively, and he's done it without letting Shelton Lewis up in front, but you can see Shelton's not happy with that one. Flashing his lights over there. He's a little bit upset with how that overtake went, but now the mission is next 9 minutes, can he get up in front? He's going to have to fight and try for the number 153, and we'll have to see how that's going to go. For the rest of it, though, it is still going to be 9 minutes left. This is Landon Batson a bit further behind. And unfortunately, again, the youngest driver out on grid seems like he's had a bit of a wreck again and struggled a bit at all. That is a bit of an odd wreck, a little bit of a rear end tap there. Yeah, a bit of a punt, and finds himself in the middle of the racetrack there. Fortunately, no one to come and sideswipe him, but yeah, you can see that back suspension is damaged. Man, that is, Jeremy, that is not a good sight there for the youngest driver.
No, it's not. And, you know, that's one thing I do love about series like this is you can learn. And that's a hard lesson to learn that, you know what, you got to be full throttle up until you get to a point where you really got to brake. So, you know, unfortunately, so it's better to learn these cheap lessons now as we see Lewis falling down through the orders. So not sure what's going on with Shelton Lewis and the grip McLaren.
Oh, we just saw Lewis fighting up in a pretty good position. What on earth has happened to the Clutches Night Crew drive up? There we go. It's a bit of a blink. Thank goodness. He's back up as we do see Troy Anderson in the race going around. But we're talking about lessons being taught. I would have thought Landon would have gotten a good enough lesson last week. I mean, he saw the underside of a Porsche rolling for about a good consistent 3 or 4 seconds. I mean, he had a pretty eventful learning experience last week, and iRacing has decided to chuck him in for yet another one. Yes, Edward Ramirez, ahead of half-fired. And Sunday, who's a bit further behind. And like the virtual grandstand has said, do not count Sunday out. And that is indeed true. Even though starting from last, he's moved up into 22nd position here. And what amount of points gained. 13 places up on the board here. So this is great work still from Aaron Sunday. Remember, the top 40 I believe, score points. I'll go and double confirm it once I pass the mic over. But I think he's still in a good odd chance over here for a couple of points in today's racing.
Which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Sunday up 13 spot. That is absolutely amazing to see that. Vigard Henriksen also up 15 spots in the 19th position. So lots of high climbers here. But I'll tell you what, Carroll closing in. Diarine closing in on Carroll there. Oh, that's a big one. Henriksen, the driver we were just talking about, involved in a really nasty shunt there in Variante Alta.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Yeah, just outside of Aqua Minerali on the uphill of Variante Alta. And yeah, that was a bit of a confusing one. He bounced around track a bit there, Vegard Hendrickson. Not too sure what happened. Here's your replay. Looked like Porsche on Porsche action. So here's Hendrickson coming down into Aqua Minerali. Up Variante Alta he will go. Who's behind that caused this? Oh, no, there's a track. Oh, it's Batson. It's Batson on track again. Unfortunately, he's sideways. And I believe he tries to rejoin. And just rejoining in the middle of the racing line. Nothing Hendrickson could do. And yep, that's a bit of a side swipe. Porsche on Porsche action there. That's going to be hard work for Hendrickson.
What a tough week for Batson. He's had a couple incidents over these last few races, and each one is supposed to be a learning experience. But jeez, you can't help but feel bad seeing this happen.
Yeah, no, that's not a good side. Marley Joff in the virtual grandstand, as I mentioned, our pro contender, mentioning that it is very, very difficult to overtake at this track, and that's coming from a driver who will be taking it to the track shortly. So yeah, and I think we've seen that quite well. This is also another driver who's been popping off in the virtual grandstand. It is Mr. Troy Anderson, one of the four. Side of Sanchez here to move up into fourth position. A bit of a blip, but we're all good, and the racing continues. And so Troy Anderson, what can he do? 5 minutes left of racing, just under 4/10. This is going to get close between the fifth and fourth position drivers here. It's Corvette on Corvette action.
And of course, the Corvette getting stronger and stronger here in the iRacing system as Anderson reels in Sanchez as they work their way towards Tamburello. And a Porsche coming out of the pits, not going to be a factor, and Anderson going to get heavy on the brakes, close in on Sanchez, not going to be able to make anything happen as they work their way out of Tamburello, setting up for another tight chicane and Variante Villeneuve before they get into Tosa. This is one of the greatest sections, I think, here at this racetrack, because you really have to be on edge while still being on your game around the circuit.
Yeah, also through Tosa is one of your best overtaking opportunities. We've already mentioned that it's quite a difficult overtaker, yeah, but that heavy breaker into the hairpin is, if you do get the correct line, if you're able to dive quite neatly, you can get a position or two if you do it right. Obviously, through Aqua Minerali, I would say is the most dangerous part to try and make an overtake, because it's very unpredictable as to what the cars can do. That's massive. What on earth has gone down? That's Aaron Sander, that's Bechtel, that's Halfhide. That is a lot of drivers involved in a turn one incident over there, and unfortunately there's Bechtel. That is a limping Aston Martin Vantage. What on earth happened through turn number one? Aaron Sunday is crab walking over the sand here. This is that was huge, massive accident, and I'm assuming a little bit of side-by-side contact led from one car going sideways to another, and it all just cascaded together there, unfortunately.
I absolutely clocked it. I did say from the start of this race we might see a ton of action here. Based off of what I saw in practice and just seeing what I'm seeing now, we have so much going on today. Aaron Sunday comes in as he was just running such a great race, and suddenly...
Yeah.
Oh!
Yes, there's a bit further still behind. This is still coming through Rivatsa as we're getting a nice extended play here to see where all the action started. So Sunday went off a little bit. Yeah, we wanted to see if there was a bit of a previous beef. So you can see Halfhide leads this train. Sunday's getting ever so closer. Pulls on the outside line now. He's getting his space reduced by quite a lot. Halfhide, give him some space. And yeah, that's unfortunately going to happen. Compression over the curb. Bechtel gets involved on the right-hand side. Yeah, that's typical Imola left-hand kink there on turn number one. That is, man, that's unfortunate to see between all those drivers.
that had all the makings of the George Russell Valtteri Bottas incident that happened a couple of years ago in that same stretch. But man, that was an absolute horrible crash. Thankfully, everybody able to get away there. There's a battle between Coleman and Reese for the 9th spot as the BMW on BMW coming off of Tosa into Pietrarella. And this is absolutely fantastic to see these two go neck and neck through some of the tightest corners in really here in iRacing. Now they set themselves up downhill for the Acquarelli Minarelli.
Yeah, through they will go. Yeah, the virtual grandstand's going to be chatting about that one for a while. Bechtel was hoping he could avoid that. He just got caught up in that train, and very unfortunate to see. But in any case, 2 minutes left of racing now. Dianorine is 3/10 behind. Anderson is 5/10 behind. There is a lot to play for here in these final closing moments. And if Dianorine wants to get up into P number 1, he is going to have to work extremely hard in that Ayrton Senna style Mercedes to try and get up ahead of Carroll, because Carroll is going to defend this into that last minute. I believe this is white flag territory. 1 minute left to go. Over 1 minute of a lap time to go over here. So definitely white flag territory going. What can Dianorine do? We'll be on board to see what he can do for the rest of this race. Through Tosa they will come. And Dianorine has closed it from 5/10 to 3/10. He's found 2/10 through the first sector. The question is, can he be able to do it through the next couple? Coming up towards Acqua Minerale, and still a bit of a gap between the two of the drivers here, 3/10 or so. There is a back marker to play for just up ahead. Another on the right-hand side who gets out the way. Through Acqua Minerale they will come, and up towards Variante Alta they will also move. And it is very, very close racing here, but Dianorine's got to do something very, very soon, or else this lead is going to dissipate from him. Into the right-hand chicane they will go now. That, I believe, is Sebastian. No, not Sebastian. One of the Ferrari drivers. Apologies, don't have his name now. But he gets in between the two Mercedes here. Fortunately, no incidents there, so they can continue to move on. And I don't know if Dianorine's going to have this one. Carroll is holding that lead of this race. And we're coming across now. The 25-minute mark has officially been exceeded. And it is going to be Dianorine in second. He doesn't have the slip to get up ahead. Coming across now for that checkered flag. It is indeed going to be Jimmy Carroll who takes the win here for the AM class. And Dianorine will finish it off in second after a hard-earned fight.
Absolutely fantastic. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was going to say Dianorine stayed calm. I wish he would have gotten up to that first position, but he stayed calm and secured the second. And as we see everyone else come around for the finish, we have Parks Miller in third, Sanchez in fourth, Troy Anderson in fifth, Andre Saba in sixth, and then the others coming around. We've had a generally pretty good race from the middle of the pack with a few crazy incidents, but I'm glad to see it wasn't too much of the field.
Well, and that's the thing, too. The second place, wins, they win championships, but gritty finishes like we saw Dianorine make here in race 1, that's what really wins you those titles.
Yeah, and Carroll's been able to hold it up in front, and it's still going to be good points on the board for Dianorine, but he's got to work hard going into race number 2, else he might not be able to clutch this in the penultimate round, and he may have to take it to the finals. Something to mention, though, remember that race number 2 is going to be that top 8 inverted. And if we're looking at the standings now, Mr. Russell will be starting up in P number 1 for the AM class. And so if he can hold it, this is going to be great points up on the board, but he's going to have a lot of pressure from behind to try and get up on the board. But that is officially it for your AM race. A couple of the other run comes across Woodside, Natali, Barrington. They still need to come across the checkered flag. There's Thomas Natali from the KIX Blackout team. And, Bechtel gets himself a black flag penalty, I believe, on the final lap. He was obviously involved in that huge incident, same as Halfide. Down in 33rd position, he comes across the checkered flag now. And that is officially at 16 laps of racing. Kristen Montgomery still going around the track, getting their final couple of laps in. Of course, the checkered flag's already been waved. They're just trying to get those last few in to ensure that they warmed up for race number 2, because the next one, 35-minute feature race with the top 8 inverted. And without further ado, here comes our AM Race 1 result. It is officially going to be Jimmy Carroll who takes that win. 3/10 behind is Dianorine with Caden Parks Miller finishing off that podium slot. Clayton Sanchez with Troy Anderson down in 5th. Andre Saba will take 6th position. Kamari Odom takes 7th position. Alex Russell, Joe Coleman, and Julian Reese take top 10. Remember that the top 8 will indeed be inverted. Zachary Battaglia in 11th, with Piero Alejandro Valencia in 12th. Richard Swiderski, Kingston Mullings, Justin Klubine, Alan Ware down in 16th. Shelton Lewis, unfortunately, down in 17th position. Edwin Ramirez, Dayton Harrison, Timothy Jadubal, Ken Majori down in 21st. Uvan Sandirigama down in 22nd. Chandler Runk down in 23rd. 24th for Ryan Woodside. 25th for Thomas Natali. Alexis Barrington, the first of the female drivers, does take 26. John Smallwood, Samuel Burnett is the driver name I was looking for in that blue Ferrari 296. Vegard Hendrickson, unfortunately, after the incident, takes 29th. Jacob Perry, Aaron Sunday, after his huge hit, down to 31st. He will go. Jacob Swope in 32nd. Ethan Harfire takes 33rd. Kristen Montgomery, 34th for herself. Benjamin Bechtel takes 35th. Lewis Holloway, Zachary Wood, Landon Batson, and Evan Davis, a driver who we saw competing for the podium, unfortunately does not finish this race and will be starting in last for race number 2. But what an eventful first race we've seen here, Shay. And I mean, it's going to lead into quite an eventful race number 2.
It's absolutely going to be an eventful second race. I think that what I'm very curious to see is if our race leaders from the first race are going to be able to pick up that same lead from the back of the pack, or at least the back of the front, with the second race, or if Russell's is gonna do his thing and just take that lead and take that pole position and just hold on to it for this whole thing.
Yeah, that is going to be the true test to see what the drivers can do. And I mean, Jeremy, obviously, you've been watching this in the YouTube and stuff, making sure that you're all caught up for this race. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen what one of the B-class second races looked like, especially with that top 8 invert. But as I mentioned, we've got Russell up in front, and he's going to have to hold his strengths here to try and keep it in P1.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key here, is trying to make sure that he stays in P1 to get those extra points that he so desperately needs. And if race 1 was anything that race 2 is going to be like, we're going to be in for a one barn burner of a race. So going to be interesting to see how this second AM race holds out compared to the rest of them.
Absolutely so, but we do officially head into our warm-up session. A couple of laps for the drivers to get themselves familiarized with the track again. Not like they just did 16 or 17 laps around, but it does prepare them for that top 8 flip around, and obviously the 10-minute extension for the total race distance. So 35 minutes to go. And like we mentioned, penultimate round coming up here. We do head to our final round next week, which is, as much as it is exciting to say, it's also very saddening to say, because it means we don't get to see you all on I believe is this a Tuesday night, Monday night? Tuesday night, I believe it is for the Americans, Wednesday morning for myself. But, we don't get to see each other for that period of time. Hopefully, Foxxtecca will make quite a quick turnaround for season number 3. But that is officially, I believe, our warm-up session done and dusted. Indeed, it is. And Jeremy is going to be taking you off for the starting grid.
Now let's take a look at their front row. It's Alex Russell and Kamari Odom in row 1. Row 2, Andre Saba and Troy Anderson. Row 3, Clayton Sanchez and Caden Parks-Miller will go from the 6th spot. Your front row, your top 2 that were earlier, Mayor Deanarine and Jimmy Carroll will fight from row 4. That's Joe Coleman, Julian Reese, Zachary Batigla, and Pio Alejandro Valencia.
Yeah, 13th onwards, we've got Mr. Richard Swiderski, Kingston Mullings down in 14th, and with Justin Klubine from the Klubine Motorsports team. Alan Ware will take 16th, with Shelton Lewis down in 17th position. Edward Ramirez, it's a 9th row clutches night crew lockout. Dayton Harrison down in 19th, with Timothy Jadubal down in 20th. Ken Majori takes 21st, with Uvan Sandirigama alongside him in 22nd. Chandler Runk, 23rd for him. Rain Woodside in 24th, and Shea will take you through the 25th down.
In 25th, we have Thomas Natali, followed by Alexis Barrington and John Smallwood, followed by Samuel Burnett. Vigert Henriksen, followed by Jacob Perry in 30th, Aaron Sunday in 31st, Jacob Swope in 32nd, Ethan Halfide in 33rd, followed by Kristen Montgomery in 34th, Benjamin Bechtel in 35th, followed by Lewis Holloway in 36th.
Yeah, 37th onwards, a couple more to go through here, and just a few more. Zachary Wood, Landon Batson, and Evan Davis, as we mentioned, will be starting this from the back end of this grid, unfortunately, after a bit of a spin that he had. And the gantry lights are already visible there. You can see the lights are off of the Pace Porsche car here. And like we mentioned, completely different starting row. It's Kamari Odom with Alex Russell. 2 very aggressive drivers, but 2 drivers that have not had much of the spotlight up in front. Russell's had a bit more of it, but Kamari Odom's going to have to dive in deep for it. But starting procedure will be starting off shortly for Alex Russell.
Tristan, did you just say Pace Porsche car?
Porsche Pace yeah, well, the pace car up in front. There dives into the pit lane now, and we're gonna have Kamariota alongside, and he's got the inside line over the Alex Russell, and but obviously the jump is going to be controlled. Why on earth is Kamariota going so slow? I think the jump's already been made, indeed it has, and Kamariota loses up one position already at the start of this race. Russell has completely kind of baited the likes of Odom. Oh, there's contact, massive contact, and that's Anderson who goes around sideways. He's going to collect another driver, it almost looks like. He goes across the circuit here, and there he is planted in the middle. That's another one of the green cars backwards in the background. That's either Parks Miller or the likes of Carroll, and there again, Anderson goes around again in the second corner here. What on earth has the start been? Davis goes around, and my goodness, so much action just through turn number 1 here. What on earth has happened to our AM grid?
This is absolutely amazing how many cars we've lost in Tamburello. Of course, we had one spinner at the back, but we have this great battle between Deanarine and Odom for third place. Once again, Deanarine does all he can to get up to the front. And again, this is absolutely fantastic to see the driver of the number 244, the Canadian, make his way provisionally to the bottom step of the podium as Roselle's open up a 1.2 second gap, but we've already lost a whole bunch of fast cars from that incident back there in Tamburello.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can get a couple of recoveries there for those drivers. I mean, we lost quite a few there, I believe. I mean, I saw one of the green Mercedes, and obviously I don't know if that's Parks Miller or Carroll, or it could be somebody else that I would not have identified. I'm trying to look on our live timings board, and it is indeed Jimmy Carroll all the way down at the back in the pit lane. Parks Miller's up in 5th, so looks like it was Carroll involved in that lap 1 incident. We'll try and get that for you to see where that incident took place first. We did see a bit of contact with the Anderson, but for the time being, we'll still see the rest of the cars going around grid. Here's Kevin, the likes of Ken Majori. He was a bit further behind there, and there's Mr. Parks Miller, so he tails behind Kamari Odom now, coming through the next corner, and we'll hope to see that he can keep the best possible car control through the next couple of corners here, and still fighting on strong up in front, Andre Saba, and there's Mayorine in second position. Alex Rosaldo has pulled a margin of a gap, but it is getting reduced ever so slightly each lap here by Deanarine, and it's almost side by side now through the next corner for Deanarine and Alex Rosal.
I think that Deanarine is actually kind of at an advantage this race, as he's not really starting from any other position in the back with any of the really, really strong race leaders. He might be able to fight his way to first with this one.
Yeah, definitely so. You might be able to fight it indeed, as we still see a couple more drivers going around, and still up in front. Apologies, the graphics on the screen will disappear. Russell's still up in front, it looks like, and holding off against Mayor Deanarine. Just up in front. Russell did slightly go off there, but he hasn't lost it just as of yet. Saba's behind with Kamari Odom and Caden Parks Miller just leading on for that top 5. We'll have to see how this is going to go on. We're trying to get that incident for lap number 1, but I think it was quite chaotic. It seems like we've got it, which is great to hear. 3 minutes into this racing, still another 30 minutes to go. Well, 27 minutes. Here is the incident, though. There's Caden Parks Miller. He's alongside Troy Anderson. There we see Carroll getting alongside there. That's Clayton Sanchez on the outside, and so getting a little bit tight, almost 4 wide going into the first left-hander kink. And I think this is going to go Carroll to Parks Miller to Troy. Indeed it is. And there you see Troy getting taken out, as well as Jimmy Carroll on the left with Clayton Sanchez. And that is a hard hit on the left side wall there for Sanchez and Carroll. And so Parks Miller escapes pretty unscathed, but behind him is where all the action goes on. So just through the tree lines there, apologies, a bit of an odd camera angle. Don't know where our cameraman is sitting if he's looking through the trees like that, but there we see Jimmy Carroll sideways on track with Clayton Sanchez. He tries to reverse and collects Bechtel, and Bechtel again being collected by something that he cannot control. And there we see again Anderson on the right-hand side. He somehow lost it somewhere, and a couple more drivers involved there. That's, a huge incident overall, though, on the board.
Take a look at it from a little bit lower on the ground, and it just starts right there at pit out. And of course, with it happening near the front, nobody having anywhere to go. And of course, it also doesn't help that you had some drivers that could have easily slammed down their brakes instead of backing in. It was just the perfect storm of issues going on there through, heading into Tamburello. So still, man, a lot of good cars taken out in that. We're back on board with this battle for the lead between Rosell and Deanna Reen. I have to wonder if Deanna Reen is just content with running second, because we saw how he was nice and tight there in race number 1, and does he continue to make that Smallwood gets a slowdown penalty?
Oh man, well, it does always hurt a little bit when I see my own team members get a penalty or spin. But I'm wondering the same thing as you. Will Deanna Reen just be comfortable in second? It's not so much of a problem because he's relaxed enough to maintain the position, but will he make that leap?
We'll see. I mean, he's been really tight there as we're watching this battle also between Coleman and Valencia. That's about for 7th place. It's BMW on Porsche, not too far away from there. Reese sitting back there in 9th place. So the interested spectator in all this. Here comes Deanna Reed around the outside of 7. Not going to make anything happen. I think he heard what we were saying and said, you know what, no, we're going to try for the battle for the lead. Coming out of Tosa, headed towards Pietrella. And this is going to be interesting, Tristan, to see if Deanna Reed can try something down into Pietrella. Not going to make anything happen as of yet, but either way, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic battle as we're just still 6 minutes into this 30-minute race, and we've seen so much action in the past couple of races. Oh, Coleman getting stuck there with that little battle. Not sure who that was, but that's backed up. Batiglia, Ware, Swiderski, all within each other, and that looks like that's one of the battle-worn Porsches that was involved.
There's a whole lot going on track as we get through this. As you said, we're only 6 minutes in, and it seems like everyone's taking some of that aggression from the last race into this one. A lot of people may be feeling like there's positions that they missed or time they could have picked up, and we're seeing that play out on track right now. A lot of really aggressive driving from the guys in the pack, as well as the leaders, with Russell and Deanna Reen just hawking each other down for that 1st and 2nd position and holding really, really nicely as everyone gets around track.
And here's what's interesting. Deanna Reen has the fastest lap of the race thus far as he leans on Russell coming out of Tamburello. Now sets up for Villeneuve around 5 and 6. And I'll tell you what, Russell has such a good exit off Villeneuve. Deanna Reen going to go side by side once again, but this time he's going to hang with Russell around Tosa. Russell says, nah, not this time, as they go neck and neck down the straightaway towards Pietrella once again. Let's hang with this, because I think if any move's going to be made by these two, it's going to be a Variante Alta in just a little bit. They go downhill into Aqua Minerale, and yeah, Deanna Reen thinks better of that move, and he's going to really go tight through Variante Alta, and I guess he proved me wrong once again, but down Ravazza they'll come here shortly. Actually, no, that is Variante Alta they're coming into. Yeah, so no, Deanna Reen not going to make it happen thus far. It's Mercedes against Mercedes for the lead.
Not only is it Mercedes against Mercedes, but we have some of the strongest drivers in the field during the series right now, up in 1st and 2nd. And we got a little bit of action in the back. Some guys coming off of the grass.
So that's Al Ware coming off of the grass. Oh, it's a spin! One of the Mustangs with a spin. Couple drivers copying a penalty, and that's Harrison, Tristan, with a spin.
Yeah, Dayton Harrison unfortunately losing it there somehow, and very unfortunate to see him moving around there. But Deanna Reen still on the backside of Russell there. That is unfortunate to see, though, for some of the drivers going around the drivers. Oh, Majori's gone around, though, just coming into Ravazza, unfortunately, and looks like he's gotten a bit of a tap somewhere. Let's hope he can keep it nice and controlled in the sand there, and hopefully not rejoin on the middle of the circuit. And indeed he does. He does exactly what I said, and unfortunately rejoins in the middle, and that's just going to lead to even more. Gets a bit of a bump there with, I believe, Troy Anderson a bit further behind there as well, and that's Evan Davis who made the direct contact with him. But my goodness, what a change of events here we've seen into the first 10 minutes of this race. Not great to see. He has Kevin Majori coming down into Ravazza on the inside line. It looks like Ken Majori, and there he gets the tap from Alan Ware from behind, and he faces backwards on track. Then he tries to rejoin left. There's a red Porsche. He can't do that. tries to get it around on the gravel. And I don't think he really looked left much because he just rejoins actively onto the racing line. And there we see Davis behind, and that's where the contact comes. Davis on the backside of Majori, and he has to pull into the pit with all the damage he sustained through Ravazza.
This is going to be a tough night for everyone after this race. I guarantee that much. I think that we're seeing a lot of that resurgence of that lack of patience and aggression from the drivers that we saw from earlier rounds, and it's coming back to haunt them. And when we come back to the front, we have Deanna and Rossell haven't gone anywhere, still first and second, but it seems like Deanna Arena is going to be taking the time during this race to think really smart about the moves that he's going to make. He doesn't want to overtake too early because he doesn't want to give up the space to lose that position as we get to the closer of the race. But it seems like right now he's just keeping composed.
Oh, Shay, you're not going to be happy about that.
No.
Jim has been atting Shay the entire night in there. No, I'm kidding. Unfortunately, they're just unfortunate timing. Shay on the mic, and one of his drivers goes around on circuit. That's unfortunately how racing goes sometimes. Here's Davis on the backside of Holloway. Natali's dropping off the grid quite hugely. I'm not too sure what's happened. There he is on the X side of Ravazza. There you see the black Porsche parked on the inside, so he's lost it somewhere, but he's actually staying off the track waiting for a clean rejoin, which is the correct thing to do here. 11 minutes of racing has been completed. Russell has been able to hold up in front. The question is, can he do it for the next 20 minutes? I really do hope so, because that would be a great turnaround for Russell to keep himself nice and consistent up in that P1 spot.
And that's just what it takes times. Is holding Deanarine is absolutely going to be tough as Lewis Henriksen neck and neck coming out of Tosa, head towards Pierre Torella, as we see Henriksen with the advantage so far, but still great battles here. It's not too far away. Jadubal cannot shake these. Actually, that's not Jadubal. I apologize. That's a different lap car. Either way, Henriksen and Lewis still neck and neck, headed out of Pierre Torella towards Aqua Minerale. And I'll tell you what, in spite of all of Lewis's issues, hanging in the top 15, that's a win in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that might be Jimmy Carroll up ahead of them in his green Mercedes. He's just trying to get it home now at this point. He has Kingston Mullings, and what a great position the 14-year-old is in here to get himself a good result. I'm not going to talk into him too much because commentator's curse is an unfortunate thing, and I know his dad is in the box, and so I'm not going to cause anything there. But great job from him so far. 9 positions up, which is a great leap there. He's got Odom on the backside, though, so he's going to have to watch out for that, and Saab up in front, but definitely still a contestable battle here. A bit further behind, Vegard Hendrickson, who we did see have that huge hit with Landon Batson in race number 1. He's now on the backside of obviously the back marker there, 35th position for Jimmy Carroll. And unfortunately in this case, even though Jimmy Carroll's faster, it does look like Vegard Hendrickson is getting all over the backside, which means he will have to move out of the way shortly. It is always the rule with the blue flags. If you are the faster driver and you're a blue flag, you are allowed to keep up in front as long as you're not hindering the actual driver who needs to get past. But unfortunately at this point, it looks like Hendrickson is ready to get past Troy Anderson down in 22nd. 18 positions of a drop here after that first lap incident on the backside of Evan Davis. And Evan Davis is making a great recovery from 39th up into 21st. Probably the highest position gainer out on track right now, even after all the incidents he's had. And we'll switch to him shortly to see all those moves gained. There's Dayton Harrison just up ahead of all of them, and he holds that train with Woodside up in front. There we see Evan Davis, 18 positions gained. What a great leap there for the Davis Motorsport team.
Absolutely. We still got some clean racing as we come back towards the straight. Whole lot of incidents in the past.
Yeah,
and we
for the
have
lead indeed.
Coming back up in pole position. Hard fought, and hopefully he can hold it for the rest of the race. Let's see how he got there. It looks like some pretty aggressive fighting over there with Alex Russell, and then just peeking over the inside of the corner, cutting it slightly, and getting that inside lead. That was a beautiful pass from Deanarine.
Got a little bit close there. Can't lie on the exit there. It almost looked like the back end bumper of Deanarine was going to meet the front side of Alex Russell as they got very, very close with each other. But indeed, still a great overtake there. And Mayor Deanarine has been able to put himself up onto that pole position slot. Great job from the Ayrton Senna inspired driver there from Dio Racing. And he moves up now. The question is, will he be able to hold it for the remainder of this race? We do know Russell is aggressive. We know that he's probably wanting to get that P1 back, but this is the best possible position here for Mayo Dianorine. And if he sits currently where he does, and obviously I'll make my predictions where I can, but it's only official once things are done and dusted. But first place here is going to give him 50 points if he finishes up in front. And then obviously from his results from race number 1, that's a good amount of points. He needs to score 80 points here today. No apologies. That, I believe, was Marley Joff, or one of the two. I'll double confirm it to see who needs to score what amount of points. But it's either 80 or 60 points that he needs to score here today in order to confirm the championship going into the final round. He's going to have to work hard for it, but I believe it's possible if he can continue pushing here for the last 15 minutes.
And that's sometimes all you need to do is just get out there and push. As Dianorines open up the half-second gap, you see Mullings and Saba making their way around the final couple of corners, and not too far away from there, you've got Porsche, which is a lap down, but either way, these two have been racing nice and tight, but Roselle closing in once again on Dianorine. There's just so many battles that you can just watch.
Yeah, so many battles all over this track, and as we see here, Mullings has gotten a great overtake up on the inside. We didn't even notice it, I believe, as we were looking at a couple of other things, but Mullings has put himself into 4th position here, just outside of the podium, which is a great move there for the likes of Mullings. It was at least on camera for everyone to see there, with Saba just up behind. And Odom will eventually start to rejoin on this battle now, but this is the great news for Kingston Mullings. 15 minutes left of racing. It's just one more half that he's got to go here to try and get himself probably one of his best finishes here of the season, and that would be great news to the 14-year-olds. He tries to tailor around in his neon green, and not neon green, the Dayglow yellow green, as we see the likes of Julian Rees going alongside Swiderski now, and he has lost that position in the BMW. Unfortunately, he's going to have to work hard to try and get it back, because that's just been pushed out of the top 10, and that's some crucial points he's probably wanting to try and recover there from Swiderski.
Well, as far as I've known, Julian's a pretty consistent driver. So even if he doesn't particularly gain the position right now, his consistency might pay off through the end of this race. He might be able to get that position back, or at least hold his position for pretty good time.
Yeah, he's just going to have to try and plant it and keep it up there. Indeed, he will have to. He has Battaglia down in 9th position still. He's trying to hold off that top 10 spot, but he's now got Swiderski on the backside of him. Ramirez moves ahead of Perry, as it looks like Perry's at a spin somewhere. That lap time of his is decreasing majorly, and indeed he has. It looks like he's lost it out of the Aqua Minerali chicane over there. And Jacob Perry, unfortunately, not great news for him. We'll try and get a replay there of what happened, but looks like it's probably a self-inflicted spin. I don't see any damage on that red Porsche, so he'll continue going around the circuit now, just behind Anderson. Woodside will be behind him as well, trying to catch up now in these next couple of minutes, so we'll get your replay. So it is indeed coming down the downhill, coming up to Aqua Minerali and then Variante Alta. Possibly a driver error. Yep, on the exit curb, indeed it is. And around he will go into the gravel trap. Fortunately, no damage on that Porsche.
Well, you saw the wiggle there going in Aqua Minerali. It's such a fast downhill to try and save it, but either way, at least he didn't collect anyone, didn't collect the wall, was able to get through the gravel trap and make his way around. But still got a lot of great battles. We take a look at this rain. Woodside, Davis, and Holloway battle. You see Davis just jumping those curbs, and that Mustang can really take a pounding. But this is a great... We've seen Davis really clawing his way up from that lap 1 incident and try and get into the top 20. He's got 2.3 seconds to catch up to Perry, but if he can catch up to that Porsche as you look out of the back of the Mustang.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rain Woodside down 22nd. He's also one of the young guns. Unfortunately, I don't have his confirmed age, but I know it's between 14 and 16. I think it's Woodside and Mullings that I keep getting confused. I think Woodside is the 16-year-old. Someone might be able to confirm for me in the virtual grandstand, but I do know both of them were our young guns in season number 1 of Foxxtecca, and obviously they've returned for season number 2, which is great side. Speaking of another young gun, it is indeed Landon Batson, who's having a much better race compared to his previous round, down in 26th position, and he is moving 12 positions up here for the 7-year-old driver, and he is doing a great job down in 26 to keep himself up, and that'll still be points on the board for him as well. I did indeed check. It is the top 40 in both Format A and Format B who get points. The 40th position will get 1 point, and in Format B, the top driver gets 50 points. So Dianorine has got it all running for him right now. Let's hope he can keep it up and potentially get himself some good points. But for Landon Batson, he'll continue trying to push. Davis a bit further down, still 18 positions up, and up to 21st he will go. And unfortunately for Jacob Perry, he has got a very fast driver behind him here. We do know what Davis can do. A podium point scorer over here, down in 21st due to the previous race's errors. And we'll have to see what is going to be the turnout of this, because Jacob Perry, very, very shortly so, is going to be succumbed to here by the big Mustang behind him.
Of course, we got a little bit more Mustang time, a little bit more Mustang action coming right past him and going through that chicane nice and clean, keeping it tight. There's a nice battle between these four cars, Davis, Perry, Woodside, and Holloway. I don't see anyone making any crazy moves, and I'm glad about that. I'd hate to see these guys lose position, as we've seen tons of incidents throughout these races today. Everyone seems to be pretty nicely through the course so far. I think that as we maybe get to the last few minutes of the race, we're going to start to see just a few more moves and a little bit more aggression, because I know people really want those points today. Well, again, this is maybe the penultimate round of the entire series, so there might be a lot of high tempers and high, just high risk moves.
Yeah, indeed, you're correct. It is the penultimate. Yeah, go for it, Jeremy.
I was going to say, yeah, I think with it being the penultimate round, you're going to see drivers make those low-risk moves that you wouldn't see early on in the season. That's one of them back there that I'm kind of surprised was made. But either way, yeah, I think, this race and the next two races after this, there's going to be a lot of ta-ta-ta throughout the field. As you see, Jod Boole closing in on Reese for that 11th spot.
Let's hope Jadubal can keep it up there in 12th position. But indeed, that is indeed the truth. 2 races after this come for the pro drivers, and then obviously that will be it for tonight's racing. And then one final round is what we've got left at the finals next week, and that's back to Format A racing. So one long 1-hour race, which is my preferred race format. It lets the GT3s stretch out their wings a bit more, and also we get the element of a pit stop strategy, whereas here it's more the element of the top 8 reverse that is our most interesting point for tonight's racing. But we do officially have 8 minutes left of racing here. Russell is now in that flipped position that we saw what Deanarine had in race number 1, because now Russell's going to try and get up ahead of Deanarine in the next 8 minutes, but we do know Deanarine is going to be holding this for all of those championship points possible. We do see Swiderski moving down a bit there. Klubine's gotten up ahead of him. Great move on the inside there, but for the rest, it is going to be Mayo Deanarine still holding there. But as I mentioned now, this is the closest Russell has been in the past couple of laps. He's gotten it down to below 2/10. It's now extending yet again on the exit of the first couple of corners here. And Parks Miller is just a bit further behind. If he can join in on this battle, that would be great. But 7 minutes left or so, and that's not a lot of time to play for here. Can Deanarine keep the defensive maneuvers for the number 244, or is he going to fall under the pressure of Russell in the next 7 minutes?
Tough to say, but it seems like Deanarine's got his nerves nice and settled. I don't think he's going to give up any easy lead. I believe that Russell's going to have to fight very hard in these last few minutes to get that position back.
Yeah, indeed he is. He's going to have to try and put this the forefront foot up ahead, as Swiderski's dropping yet again. Lewis and Ware get themselves up ahead. Marissa in the virtual grandstand is asking, does anyone know how many incidents before a drive-through? I think according to normal iRacing standards, it's 17 incident points. Obviously, I'm not too sure if it's been slightly changed over here for the league by Foxxtecca. I think it might be 20 incident points before a drive-through penalty gets placed over here, and then a 30 before the next one. So it's 20 for the first, and then thereafter 10 for each more incident points. You will get yourself a drive-through penalty. So after the first, the drivers have to be very careful to not get themselves to yet another one. You can see Deanarine is pretty planning ahead. He's already giving young Batson a couple of flashes from quite a far distance there to let him know that he is in a battle here for the lead and he cannot be jeopardized whatsoever coming down into turn number 1. Hopefully, this goes all nice and clean and they can keep nice and consistent. And there you can see Batson gives all the space needed. What a great let pass over there. And sometimes that is a skill that some drivers don't have, even though it's so simple to just let race leaders go past. Some do struggle, and so a good allowance there from Landon Batson. The two can continue fighting for the last 5 minutes.
And that's what you want. You want these two to fight tooth and nails. Rosell takes a nose to the inside at Deanarine. Not going to make anything happen. Still too far away to make that low risk happen. Yeah, already flashing on the lights as trying to get Deanarine distracted. But he's not one of those drivers that's easily distracted. I think Rosell's going to have a softer brake pedal going into some of these corners. Not necessarily because the car's given the soft brake pedal.
We'll have to see how this is going to turn out for the top two here. And Deanarine up in front is still holding on strong. You do see Parksma in the background there, 3.4 seconds of a gap. It's I do think it's too big to gain, unfortunately. And Kingston Mullings has been able to hold off Sauber for the past 6 or 7 or so laps. I should not have said those two numbers together. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me in these modern days, as the rest of them will continue going around here. Russell just a bit further behind, 410 still fighting on. What can Sauber do, though? He's got to try and get up ahead of Mullings, but we do know Mullings' racecraft has increased a lot throughout the season, and so he just needs to hold it now. 1 second of a gap. The fight is on for 5 more minutes. Here's Jadubel. He's on the inside here of Reese, and Hendrickson is just a bit further behind, as they're all trying to fight around for the battle for 10th position right now. It's the final spot of the top 10, as Battaglia is far up ahead. Klubine's also far away, so for these three, it's all up to them to determine who takes that final spot in that top 10.
I think this is going to be a battle to watch. Reese is an incredibly great driver in these situations. High pressure, I don't know if he loves it, but he functions very well in it. And right now, that Mustang is riding him like there is no pressure in the world that is heavier than the pressure that he's giving Reese.
You're talking about that pressure. It's now side-by-side pressure, because we do see the likes of Jadubel trying to find his way around Reese, and looks like he's going to be able to do it around the outside. Indeed, he is. What a great overtake there from Timothy Jadubel under pressure, and he's been able to keep it nice and tidy. Up into 10th, he will move, but it's not over just as of yet. Hendrickson is just a bit further behind them, and Reese is now sandwiched in between the two blue cars. It's the Porsche to the BMW to the Mustang, 3 different car types, all fighting for that final spot of the top 10. I am seeing someone drop off down in 24th position. That's Swiderski, who's he seems to, he's gone into pit lane oddly. So wonder what's happening to Swiderski at the final moments of this race.
Sounds like Swiderski was involved in an incident, and Jadubel opening up that big gap. Holloway gets a solid black, so he'll have to answer the pits here shortly. But either way, Jadubel, I saw the compromise exit coming off of Tamburello, thought that he might do that the rest of the race. Now, I'll tell you what, Deanarine really hoping for the end of this one, as he is holding off Rosell even tighter coming off of the straightaway. Let's see what happens in Tamburello. Deanarine taking the low line, telling Rosell, if you want it, you got to take the highlight. And that moves Rosell to the front. A little bit of a wiggle on Deanarine as he loses it going into Tamburello.
Oh, well, things have changed up for the podium here. I was not expecting that kind of error from Deanarine, but looks like just too hard on the defensive move there, and he's completely misjudged turn number 1. So holding the inside line here from Alex Russell. He thinks that the inside is going to be better, but unfortunately just too late on the brakes there for Deanarine, and Russell sees the opportunity on the inside, moves across, and Deanarine's got to spend the next couple of tenths trying to get that car nice and recovered. And that just lets Russell run away. It's now 1.9 second of a gap. And unfortunately, with 2 minutes left to go, this has kind of been a bit of a sellout there for Deanarine. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up to the driver up in first position. This is going to be a hard battle for them. Alan Ware on the backside of Evan Davis. And this is the battle of the big Mustangs. Purple versus white and black. And now, same situation. Evan Davis has got the inside line. Can he meet his breaking point? Indeed, he can. That's exactly what Deanarine needed to do to keep the position up in front. Unfortunately, just not able to replicate it as Evan Davis has done, and he's able to hold off the likes of Alan Ware for the next couple of laps. Let's hope he can. With 1 minute left to go around about, it's all or nothing now for all these drivers.
Yep, we come into the last few minutes of the race, and this is where I like to say this is where the true personalities come out. We see where the big passes, and usually maybe that expression of aggression comes out from some of these drivers. It seems that in the front, Alex Russell and Mayor Deanarine have this in the bag. They've got it locked up in the first 2 positions, and we're seeing a whole lot happening in the middle of the pack, where a lot of these guys are just fighting for that mid-pack dominance at this point. We're already at the end of the race. Maybe if you can't get up into the podiums, it feels okay to get a nice, decent position in the middle, or just to beat the person that you've been battling this entire race.
Hey, talking about battling the entire race, here goes Rain Woodside, and he's been battling Perry. We just got some great shots of him there, just trying to get past, and it almost looked like they were going to make contact coming into the next corner, but fortunately not. We are about 20 seconds left. Where does our race leader sit here for the remainder of this race? There he is. They've obviously started, but this is officially going to be white flag territory. And, oh, this is interesting. Look at this on the final lap, as Dianarina's caught up all the way under 1 second here through the traffic management. I unfortunately don't think it's going to be enough for him to catch up on the back, but what a great recovery from 1.9 seconds all the way down to under 1 second of a gap here, coming into the final couple of seconds of this race. We have officially reached the 30-minute mark, coming down into Ravatsa now, and this is going to be it for the likes of Alex Russell. If he can keep it up, you can see Dianarine is just in the background there trying to get ahead, but it's not going to be enough. And Alex Russell will come across the final left-hander there, as we do see Dianarine moving up just behind him. Now one of the clutches night crew go around on the final, but the main focus is on Russell as he comes across the checkered flag to take race number 2's win. What a great win from the driver. Dianarine will take second and Parks Miller takes third. What a great fight for the podium.
That was absolutely insane. I'm sorry.
That was no worries. That was great racing here between Roselle and Dianarine all race long. Of course, Dianarine coming away with a couple of seconds. Not what you really wanted, but yeah, I think that it's best of the worst case scenario for Dianarine if he wants to claim this AM title. Here's this battle between Jadubel and Henriksen, and Jadubel going to get that 10th spot with Henriksen in 11th.
Yeah, go for it, Shay, whatever you wanted to say.
I was simply just going to say that these guys have been fighting so hard during the entire race. It was actually an absolute nail-biter from the start of this second race. I know I mentioned that it would be a lot different in the podium positions as the positions were flipped on the start, and I've seen some crazy results from this. Dianarine and Russell definitely gave us a race tonight.
Definitely so. And I mean, Dianarine only loses out 4 points difference. It's 46 points for second position, 50 points for Russell up in front. So it's not a drastic point loss like you would see in Formula One. I think it's 25 down to 18 for second position. So at least only 4 points of a difference. Oh, Landon Batson parked in the middle of the track there, almost getting himself some contact even after the race is over. But also, what a finish from Kingston Mullings up in fourth position. I think that's his best finish as of yet for season number 2. And he's going to be thrilled with that finish. Unfortunately, Benjamin Bechtel a bit further behind after his incident. Aaron Sunday finishes off 6 positions up on the board, down in 25th, and not the most ideal circumstances he's had yet today. I know the team has not been quite happy in the virtual grandstand after the incidents that happened in race number 1. It could have been a much better race. Oh, Jeremy Carroll is also a bit frustrated. He decides to turn the Mercedes into a green little box, possibly a little cube you can munch on, as that Mercedes is toast. But that is officially it. AM race number 2 done and dusted. We'll get your championship standings, and then we'll get a bit of a debrief. But we'll see the race results coming through to you now. It is indeed Alex Russell up in first. Maydoreen takes second, with Caden Parks Miller in third. Kingston Mullings takes fourth, with Andre Saba down in fifth. Kamari Odom in sixth position. Joe Coleman with Pio Alejandro Valencia, and the likes of Zachary Battaglia down in ninth. Vegard Hendrickson and Timothy Jadubel, 10th and 11th for them. Vegard Hendrickson in 11th. Julian Rees down in 12th. Justin Klubine will take 13th, and Shelton Lewis in 14th position. Troy Anderson, not the most ideal race yet today, down in 15th. He will go. Edward Ramirez in 16th. Dayton Harrison and Alan Way, 17th and 18th respectively. Jacob Perry down in 19th position. 20th onwards, though, as we missed a couple in between there, but that's all good. 22nd for Clayton Sanchez and Richard Swiderski in 23rd. Aaron Sunday takes 24th position. Benjamin Bechtel will take 25th. The likes of Evan Davis down in 26th. Lewis Holloway takes 27th. Alexis Barrington, Landon Batson, and Ethan Harfide in 30th. From 31st onwards, it's Ken Majori, John Smallwood, Thomas Natali, Jimmy Carroll, Jacob Swope, Kristen Montgomery, Zachary Wood, Samuel Burnett, and Chandler Runk, who will finish off in the final spot of this race, the 2 at the bottom, unfortunately not completing today's racing. But I mean, from both of you, we'll go Jeremy first. I mean, just thoughts on AM race number 2 there, and what are we expecting going into the pro race?
Well, yeah, I kind of took a look and see who was going to be running the pro race, and there's a lot of very fast drivers who I've watched up and down the system, so I'm really excited to see that. Race had thrills, spills, chills up and down the grid, and it was absolutely fantastic. Wherever you looked, you saw somebody had someone to race with or had some sort of incident, and really the AM class delivered, and I cannot wait to see what the pro class has here in just a little bit.
Absolutely. Shay, your side?
As for me, I've been pretty locked in just knowing that we're in the last few rounds, because I just know in my heart of hearts that this is where the drivers are going to bring out their absolute best. We saw it up at the front, we saw it in the pack, and we saw all the spills and thrills in between. This has been an amazing first set of races for the night, and it gets me really, really hyped to see what pros are going to do. I do expect they're going to be that they're going to be a little bit more clean, maybe for most of it. But I know that these pro guys also get quite emotionally charged, so we might see some moves, on the track if we find that some of the drivers might get frustrated with some passing opportunities.
Yeah, emotionally charged indeed it is, but don't go anywhere. We do still have a full 2 races to come for the Pro Series. Unfortunately, no interview for our intermission yet tonight, but you will get the highlights again of last week's racing for the AM and Pro race. We'll see you in a short few 10 or so minutes, probably 10 to 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Grab something to eat or drink and be back in a couple. We'll see you shortly. Yeah, they're coming across the final corner now. The pace car is officially in, and we'll wait to see when Dean drops that throttle pedal. Indeed, he's done it already, and he's managed to get the jump there. On the background, you can see that Carroll is trying to keep up. Kenton Young has unfortunately lost that position going into turn number 1, swooping on the right-hand corner, and it is Dean who will hold that through Redgate.
Through Coppice Corner, they went down the old back straight as they go side by side now. That is Odom going up the inside here in this final sector in particular. A lot of traction zones for that Porsche to use its superior advantage. And who's that with a huge end in the black McLaren just behind this of Sunday? That was Lewis, who's made a big send on that inside curb. Just behind Sunday, it's kicking off between Rice and Lewis here. Then side by side, BMW versus the McLaren, and up the inside the McLaren into Redgate they go again. Beautiful bit of racing. Drivers just being a little extra cautious here. Risco gets the up and under down through Hollywood into the Craner curves. Moves already done.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the first time we see that yet tonight. Jesse Laverin behind, I believe. Sorry, it was all the way. Another car. That's Kingston Mullings again around. He's got to watch out for there. Dean yeah, he's lost the lead.
On the way up to Goddard's now, the final corner. Let's take a look at what happens here. On the brakes, oh my days, from the back marker.
I do maybe want to see which McLaren that possibly was with Dean I think it might. Oh, there goes Kenton Young on the curb as we talk about it. And the big thing about Dean is I think he got a bit lucky during that netcode. During the incident. Russell comes up on the inside line. That almost looked like it could have been contact, and Russell actually goes off. And Dean has gotten into the lead of this race. So this is coming out of the Foxxtecca chicane over here, down towards the hairpin, and Melbourne hairpin. And what a switchback move from Mayo Dean. There's a little bit of contact there, though, and then Parks Miller will get up ahead. And now coming towards the likes of Goddard's, and Mayo Dean again has the inside line.
Someone who's thinking a little bit less realistically would say better weather.
It's a flip. Oh my goodness. That is the parents of Landon Batson, hide your eyes over here, because this is a rather intense one for the young guy. And I mean, this is his cockpit view. My goodness, that is heavy rotation for the young 7-year-old. And
you're gonna have crashes, you're gonna have incidents.
Anderson's backwards.
Yes,
apologies.
Yeah, what a shame. That's through the Foxxtecca. And there's another Porsche.
The overcut. Aaron Sunday will come out of the pit stop now, though, and he's been able to keep it nice and consistent, but Davis is struggling now on the outside line of Battaglia, and they're bumper to bumper. They both pull each other off circuit. That's going to be a free position. Yeah, no, definitely not. Just a question from the virtual grandstand. It's just Rachel from OHND asking about the interval timers on the left-hand side again. So just a reminder about those interval colors. Russell goes sideways. Goodness, Russell loses it, and he collects Collis Shaw.
Third and fourth was about to on a car. This is Caden Parks Miller over the curb. Round she goes. There's already another.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mission here for Carlos Shaw to try and get past Carroll. The virtual grandstand asking what happened to Sunday there. If you did just miss the replay, he just lost. They both go around. It's contact. And it's over again for another Porsche. And Collis Shaw has been tipped upside down. What a massive accident here here at Donington Park. He rounds the final corner out of Goddard, and it's going to be the race win. Mayor Dianorine will take it yet again for the championship lead, further extending that charge. And what a great finish to finish off strong.
But for the final time this evening, the third to last round, it's Hooverson who gets us away well. At the line, we are green and go as the back runners still come through the Goddard hairpin. Down in towards turn one, Hooverson leads with the Aston Martin looking to make a move on that inside line. They all filter through Redgate, 2 or 3 abreast at times. This is what has happened through the foggy S's. This is Andrew Herschel then, coming down towards the Melbourne Loop. We're just going to see... Oh no, same as the Am race, just so late on the... Oh, the Golden Pigeons have all hit each other.
Balla's falling off down the back. Yeah, Balla is...
Is it exactly a carbon copy of what happened to Marox just a few moments ago? Is he going to get on that inside curb? Yes, he is. Round she goes.
Peterson got the penalty that moved him down. But still, he was up there and he was able to be shifted. Oh, Grabowski gets a little bit... Oh, and there goes Grabowski. That's an overtake there for Marley Joff. To control Presley. I did see a black flag penalty, but I also see a yellow flag. So he served the yellow and he's got a black, unfortunately. No. Oh, there's contact. That's for Tyler King and Robertson. They've gone around onto the racing line. But that could have been bad. Tyler King into the wall trying to get that Mercedes. Rotated again. Soto between, I believe, Torch Show bumping each other down that down the Craner curves over here. And it's getting very close, and there it goes down the Craner curves. And
Palla's got a problem here. He is incredibly slow. Grabowski's gone past... Well, is that the defending... Yeah, it looks like it's sorted because he's got back going. But is that possibly the defending champion here? Out the running for this champion. So there you go. Keep your eyes on Marox. He's put the slick tyre on.
Unless it begins to rain again. But that racing line is so dry now at this point that those wets are just completely overheating themselves as we see Marot's major advantage over Brown.
It is going to hurt you. Marley Joff on the dry tyres. Hooverson and Dragota have stayed on the wets. What about Peterson? Peterson has also stayed on the wet tyre. So a huge decision from the championship leader in this race. So the drivers aren't going to be too worried there. And look at this. He was over 2 seconds behind at the start of this lap from Pedersen. And now look, he is right under the rear wing of the Mercedes-Benz. He's got the grip. He's got the confidence. He'll be on the racing line in the braking zone. Marley Joff looks to go around the outside of Pedersen, who goes a little bit deep. Joff can't get the momentum out the corner, though.
And as long as Peterson holds that dry compound, as you can see what he's doing, he's completely blocking Joff from gaining the advantage. This is going to be a bit of a difficult one, but there it is. And there it's lost. Yeah, this is going to be the difficulty on the wet. The young gun to get up in front.
Oh, it's raining! It's raining! The slick tyres was nearly 5 seconds a lap quicker. The rain has just started. But is this a passing shower, or is this the downpour till the end? We'll wait and see. But look, still Grabowski and Joff have so much more confidence over Peterson. Grabowski, though, a day late and $1 short. Hairpin. That allows Joff back through, and still look at the confidence and the grip that Joff has out the corner.
Yeah, I think Joff's officially got the position made now. Thankfully, he's up ahead of Nikolai Peterson. Go look at Marley Joff. It was 4.5 seconds. It's 1.7 seconds to the leaders now. Joff is closing in absolutely tremendously fast. There he is on the likes of Dragota. He's up into second position now. I think maybe he's just got a blacked out livery up on the front. No, he's missing a bumper.
No, he's missing it.
Hooverson's missing a bumper, and that's just going to be even more of a disadvantage now against Marley Joff, as he's going to get ahead in the next corner, possibly through the chicane he goes, and indeed he is. Joff reclaims the lead of this race. Some more news, and I think it's from some guys who are actually sitting in a possible call with Joff and the other drivers, but it seems the rain is only in the first and last sector of the track, which means that through the most pinnacle sections of the track, Sector 2 and 3. Grabowski is just making errors, though. He's going on the wet curbs. He needs to avoid them.
It is indeed. What a race here at Donington Park. The thrills and spills of Donington Park. Here we go, side by side. Panicia and done it right around the outside. To warn, in fact. And that, I think, is what we're seeing here. Even though that rain is falling, the wets just cannot cool down enough. And now the top three, all slick runners,
to block him off from those wet compounds. So even if they do start to make errors and they do start to, underperform due to the wet track, it is a long distance that Hooverson and Dragota have got to work up. And here comes Marat onto Dragota just after spinning. And I think even at this point now, Matthew, even if it starts to rain to the point of the track becoming unbearable for the slicks, it is only 5 minutes. It's about 2.5 laps that they've got to hold on for. I think it's manageable at this pro level. up towards Goddard's, and this will be it for Molly Joff. Marotz gets a black flag penalty. That's Marotz falling off, unfortunately, on the final lap. And now Molly Joff, through Goddard's he will go, and he will take the win after a massive strategy pull. Great spotting from his team. Molly Joff takes the win here at Donington Park.
Great stuff. Peterson's now down to 10th in this race because Rold has got past him. Hooverson's got Dragotta and Rosselli on the back. Rosselli could try and get past the wet runners. Hooverson's now got a black flag at the very end. So that will give Rosselli the top 5. Will finish. It won't actually because Dragotta's now past Hooverson on the circuit. So it's all going on.
Thanks to everybody who joined us in the virtual grandstand and keeping everything alive. And we'll see you next week out on track at Imola for the penultimate round of the League by Foxxtecca. Have a good night. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
The racing action continues yet again here for the second round of running in terms of tonight's racing. For the pro race, it is still round number 8 here at the Imola circuit, the Autodromo Enzo E. Dino Ferrari. I got that correct this time. We didn't mess it up like we did in the AM class. And from what we saw from the first round, I think it's going to be a good one. It is still myself, Shay, and Jeremy up in the commentary box. Jim is still there in the production booth for the remainder of this race. But I think it's going to be a good one indeed. We'll get your championship standings up shortly. But first, again, just a couple of opinions. I mean, we got a couple of opinions towards the end of it. But I'm excited for what this race is looking like, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see. Go ahead, Shay. Sorry.
It's okay, but I think that we're up for some great racing this round. We saw in the Pro-Am a whole lot of action, but with the pros, it's always really, really fast times and really, really smart moves. With this track, especially with the limited passing opportunities, I'm really eager to see what the drivers pull out.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do for these two races. And, you know, I've finally got to look at the grid itself, and there's a lot of names that I recognize. You see Nikolai Pulerson sitting there on the track trying to get that 142 up to speed. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see this pro race really wrap up today because you know, two short races by GT3 standards. There's going to be a lot of elbows out.
Oh, we've got our driver who's come back to the circuit at Imola. It's Mr. Alexei Nesov. As a little bit of a tighter schedule. We don't get to see him all the races, but he's here again in the number 69 Aston Martin. Great to see that. Great stuff for the blue Aston Martin to be here. But it's going to be all to play for here for the driver up in front, Mr. Marley Joff. He did top up the practice session. And so we'll have to see what he can do in qualifying. So Marley Joff has got a 60-point difference that he needs to make here in this race in order to win the championship here tonight. And he's got to lead by a certain amount of points as well to the driver in second. Of course, we can always make our predictions, but the officiated timestamp will only come going into the finale round, which will get the go-ahead to announce that it's been done, or if we still need to go racing fully for those championship leaders going into round number 8. So we'll have to see how that turns out, but we'll go for an in-car lap.
Yeah, so as we're coming off the pit straight, you've got the Variante Tamburello. Set yourself up for the left, the right, and then the little bit longer straightaway before you set yourself up for the left once again. And then you're hard on the throttle for Variante Villeneuve. It's kind of a different chicane than we saw for Tamburello, but either way, you've got the two chicanes to set yourself up for Tosa. This is where we saw some of the moves made here, and you really got to make sure that you're on your game, because if you're trying to pass around the outside, that driver that's leading is going to shove you to the outside. A little bit of a kink here for the setup for Pierre Torella, and it's a quick left-handed sweeper, double apex left-handed sweeper, I should say, and then downhill to one of my favorite sections of the racetrack, Acque Minerali, as you go from a couple rights to the short little left. And it's very interesting because the car's not settled exactly to set yourself up for the straightaway into another great section. It's Variante Alta, hard on the brakes. You go right, then immediately you snap your car left to set yourself up for another straightaway. Yeah, there's a lot of long straightaways here at Imola. You see you're up to 4th, you click yourself up to 5th. just in time to set yourself up for the right-handed braking zone of Ravazza. The double apex left-hander, you see all those homes there and the condos on the right-hand side. That is one of the coolest parts of this racetrack. And then you're just basically on the gas all the way to Tamburello down the pit straight.
Yeah, indeed it is, and that's the lap done for Mr. Alexei Nesov. Not too sure if it's going to be an improvement on his lap time. Indeed it is. He moves up to third. Great stuff from him. You'll get your live timings board up on the left-hand side, but for the time being, it is, we'll get points for that first, but for the time being, it is Aaron Zurek up in first. Championship standings, though, going into the pro round, and like we mentioned, Marley Joff currently sits up at the top there. He leads with 461 points. Dennis Grabowski down in second position with 425. Nikolai Peterson in third position with 412. Leon Rigotta, one of the other young guns, down in fourth, and he's been involved in a couple of series here at Apex Racing TV, but he's holding fourth position there. 362 points. Ballas Pala down in fifth position for the Seshay Esports team. Greg Hooverson from the Door Esports team down in sixth. Aaron Zurek will take seventh with Gulham Andre. He sits currently in eighth position. 269 points to his name. Kevin Rold down in ninth, and Zain Khan will take that final top 10 spot. Again, from 11th onwards, you'll get a bit of a scrolling leaderboard to see where all your drivers sit. So if you've got an eye for someone specifically, you can have a look to see where they currently sit. We won't go through all the names. I think we'll go through all the names in our finale, though, especially as it's the final round, to see where each driver will be sitting. And so that's how it currently sits for our championship standings. But without further ado, we get to move on to our actual qualifying session here for today's racing. The doubleheader, the two races coming up, the Format B for the pro drivers. Exactly what you just saw for the AMs is what we get to see for the pros. And for the time being, it was Aaron Zurek up on pole, but during championship standings, our champ leader came in to set his lap time. It's Marley Joff up at top with a 140.4.
And Poolerson makes his way to third as Hofson makes his way to second. Poolerson with a quick second fastest. And these times are just falling throughout the session. But here's the thing. You take a look from second on back, you can put a blanket over them. It's a tenth of a second separating Joff from Hofson as they work their way out of Tamburello. That's Nessoff with a quick time of a 40.820. The fastest time of the session, though, 40.408 out of Joff. And no surprise here, you put him in anything, and he's going to be absolutely fast.
Yeah, absolutely so. And I mean, I think he's just going to continue the streak now for the next 2 minutes of qualifying. I don't know if he's got another lap in that tank, but for the time being, he doesn't necessarily need to set another lap here. But there's a lot of fast drivers behind Hooverson, Peterson, Zurek, Nesov, Dragotta. Tyler Carr has gotten himself up into sixth. That's probably his best qualifying spot right now in terms of the in terms of the entire series. It's great to see him up there. But keep your eye on that bottom section. It is all the drivers and their sector times. Green represents a personal best. Yellow represents no improvement. And purple will obviously represent the best sector out on track right now. So keep your eye out for any purples down there on that bottom section. It will represent a better time coming through. Peterson currently sits in third position. We're also on board with Hooverson. He's got one green sector, whereas Hooverson has currently got 3 green sectors. So this could be an improvement from Peterson, maybe jumping Hooverson into these next couple of laps. You can see them both now coming towards the checkered flag line. And so Peterson will come across first, then Hooverson behind him. Where does the timing board change for both of these drivers? And it is indeed Peterson who moves up into second. Unfortunately, Hooverson loses out there. What a great lap to put himself up there in second. And Dragotta moves himself up to fourth, but so does Grabowski. And so the top 5 completely changing yet again.
I was a little worried because Grabowski did not solidify a time up until this past lap. He's not. There's another series that I cover Grabowski, and he had a rough past couple of races yesterday. So looking for a bounce back after that as Ivanov makes his way up to fourth.
Yeah, Shay, I mean, we're looking at a pretty standard qualifying from what we normally see over these past couple of rounds. I mean, Joff has been able to keep himself up in first. But at least Grabowski and Dragotta are up there. But Tyler Carr, 7th. I think that's one of his best his best qualifying spots so far.
One of his best qualifying, and we have a little bit of unusualness seeing the Seshay drivers not in the top spots this time.
Yep.
If I'm correct, we don't have Ballas, Pala, or Marotz in the top 5.
Yeah, it seems like Marot's having a bit of a difficult one there, down in 10th position. Don't even see Ballas Pala currently, as he's, I believe, far down, or unless, no, Ballas Pala's actually disappeared from the session, unfortunately. I did see his name, but he's not here. So Ballas Pala, not too sure where he's gone unless I saw his name in the championship standings. I think that's where I did see him. So I don't even think Ballas Pala is here for tonight's racing, unfortunately. So that's not going to do too well in terms of his championship standings. But it is indeed going to be Marley Joff on that on that starting grid procedure. Nikolai Peterson will be starting in second for the Alpha 1 SX team. Gregory Hooverson takes third with Gabriel Ivanov in fourth position. Denis Grabowski will be taking fifth with Leod Dragada in sixth position. Tyler Carr for the Race 4 Esports team will take seventh with Aaron Zurich alongside him for the fourth row. Alexei Nesov gets himself ninth with Marcel Marotz, the only Seshe driver in today's session, down in 10th. Savio Panicia, a driver who hasn't been able to be here so far too much this season, but whenever he is here, he seems to pull some magic. And Corbin Lenaway takes the final spot of the top 12.
As you take a look at row 7, it's Joe Manzoli and Guillermo Andre. And at row 8, it's Alessandro Torchio and Kevin Rold. Cameron Brown and Candice Presley make up row 9. Row 10, Zohair Ahmad and Eric Halsman, teammates, make on row 10. 11 in the row is Molly Gray and Ty Dunnett, and Michael Odell and Andrew Herschel are in row 12.
At 25th onwards, we've got Mr. Lohan Andre Mirazan. Unfortunately, the only Audi driver who seems to have disappeared from here, so a little bit sad here today. Tyler King, 26th position, and Gabriel Jones down in 27th. Anthony Cuthbert for the Super Lapix stays team down in 28th. Kyle Robertson in 29th. Elliot Court in 30th with Andre Castro in 31st. Lucas Souza takes 32nd with Miles Brown in 33rd. Chris Wetz takes 34th from 35th onwards. Only a couple more to go here as we currently... No, that's actually it. No more. There is only a 34-car grid here for today's racing. And a great stuff to see as the pace car goes off. But before we get started with the racing, it is important again to mention all the amazing sponsors here for the league by Foxxtecca. We didn't get to mention it in the AM race, but there's a lot to make this. Someone has spun on the formation lap. Not too sure that was. Very unfortunate. But in any case, we've got Superlap here, who's sponsoring season number 2. Great to see them here. The African American Automotive Association, run by Mr. Chris Harris, and bringing all those opportunities to young drivers to get themselves involved. Great to see that. We obviously also got the likes of Dakins Designs, all the guys over there bringing all the great liveries out on track. And who can forget Roasted Records bringing the jet fuel to some of these cars, ensuring that all the Europeans here who are currently racing within the 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. bracket, depending on where they currently sit around the world, is making sure that they're alive, making sure that the eyes are wide open, and great racing nonetheless. But it is going to be Nikolai Peterson with Marley Joff, who's going to get the better jump coming down towards turn number 1.
And as we get into it...
See if John... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You're fine.
I was saying it could be interesting to see if Poulerston can catch up to Joff as the Porsche pace car pulls off.
And just as we said up too, we've got a whole lot of support for what seems to be our fan favorite driver, Marley Joff, with a lot of fans calling him the GOAT in the grandstands.
Yeah, and there we go. The start of the race has been pulled off. It is indeed Marley Joff who's gotten that jump on Nikolai Peterson. Hooverson is alongside him, though, coming down into turn number 1. Through the first section they will go, and the rest of the cars behind. Fortunately, very, very neat formation. This is what you tend to see in the pro racing, is that most of the drivers... oh, never mind. There we see the spin officially. The first to go off, it is one of the Mercedes. And unfortunately, not too sure who that is just as of yet, but all the way back, it looks like Tyler King possibly, who's dropped all the way off, or somebody else. Kevin Roldo Ahmad also dropping off quite far. But Marley Joff has been able to hold his lead here. Tremendous work for himself. Peterson, Hooverson a bit further behind, and Hooverson's not been able to make that jump. Ivanov behind is also trying to keep up, but just not enough. Dunnett and Odell also moving around. Tyler Carr loses out to Marcel Marotz in 8th position as they all come down into Aquaman. Now it is still Marley Joff who leads the huge train of cars behind, and there we see Marotz already 2 positions up, and the Seshe Esports driver is trying to find all the traction he can in the first part of this race.
That was Panachia who had that issue. It's crab walking afterwards. He is now into the pits. But Joff, once again, the class of the field, as most of everybody single file working their way around Aqua Minerale, now setting up for Variante Alt. Actually, I should say Ravazza, as Dragata gets a slowdown penalty, so he'll have to give that up. They'll give Grabowski a chance to get into 5th place. But once again, Marley Joff in the lead. Zurich into 6th place, and Dragata gets another another slowdown penalty. So not the first lap that he really wanted. We got a spinner at the back. I think that's Presley. That is going the wrong way. 2-3 cars involved.
Yep, Presley, Torchio, a couple of them in the background. Oh, and Presley's in the middle. My goodness, that is a huge... I believe we just saw a car take flight in the background there. That's someone who made massive contact with Presley coming out of Ravazza. Good calling there as well, just to try and notify it at the back. It is indeed Cadence Presley. My goodness, that Corvette is absolutely smashed up. And he's just been involved in multiple vehicle incidents there. That is very unfortunate there for Cadence Presley. So let's have a replay. On the inside line there, Alessandro Torchio is just a bit further behind them. And he's alongside, not too sure the Mercedes driver is there, but he goes around on the curve. There's the tap from Alessandro Torchio. And the rest of them coming through. There's Cameron Brown or Miles Brown on the outside. I believe it's Cameron Brown. He manages to squeeze past. One of the Golden Pinges doesn't get past, unfortunately. And on the left-hand side, a couple more trying to find their way. Torchio's still sideways. Presley is dead center in the middle of the track. He's not on the brakes necessarily, but eventually does hold on. So this is where we see the incident. A couple of the drivers. There's the first, there's the second, and indeed there was a car taking flight. It was Cadence Presley, all 4 tires off the floor as he makes massive contact with Honda Mercedes at the back.
That's a tough way to start your first few laps of the race, man. You got to hope that when things like that happen, you don't lose it all and just bin the rest of the race as you try to keep up.
Yeah, fortunately, I think there is, I hope so, I'm not 100% sure. I think there is a fast repair that the drivers get here. If not, that's going to be a very, very long pit stop for Mr. Cadence Presley, and he's going to have to sit and get that Corvette essentially rebuilt in the pit lane. There you can see him, unfortunately. That car just looks like an empty carcass right now. But for the likes of Joff, almost 8 tenths up currently to Peterson. But the top 5 all still within under a second. That's what the yellow number represents on the live timings tower. As we see Zurich still on the backside. Done it also on the backside of his teammate now for the Aerokinetics team. Apologies, not teammate, same color, but it's against one of the Golden Falcons up ahead of the Superlaps X-Thay's team. As both of them of Helsband and Ahmad just up ahead trying to fight their way through. And he's got the likes of Mike O'Dell behind. Someone's off again. It's Joe Manzoli, who's gone off into the gravel at the exit of the first couple of corners. And fortunately manages to get back on track unscathed from any damage.
I think that was Manzoli who was also involved in that, the crash coming out of Ravazza at the end of lap 1. So not a good start for him. As you see, Hall's been going toe-to-toe with Dunnett for 17th place. His teammate Ahmad opening up a bigger gap. But look at that. They're still leading on each other. It's almost like they're stock car racing.
Yeah, it tends to be like that in the pro racing of Foxxtecca. They do tend to, the teamwork strats tend to light up. And I mean, if you were here when Ballas Pala and Marotz were very competitive, it gets very, very intense when teamwork strats come into the play. Jeremy, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go back and maybe look at like Indianapolis or one of those races, but teamwork is definitely one of the big factors here at Foxxtecca. And when drivers have that opportunity, they definitely play it as a strong suit. But yes, Mr. Low and Andre Mirazan, like I mentioned, the only Audi driver that was on grid, but he's decided it's too difficult of a beast to handle, and I do understand it. It's just unfortunate not to see the 4 rings out on track and just 4 wheels as my only reference, unfortunately. So Eric Halsband still further behind, 19th position. He leads to the backside of Mirazan and Herschel. King Cuthbert a couple of seconds behind as well. But the main talking point is Mr. Marley Joff. 1.3 seconds of a lead to the likes of Peterson, and he's doing a phenomenal job to get all the points on the board yet today.
This is true. It doesn't seem like any of the races that we've had Joff in he's never really seemed to take his foot off the gas. He knows he wants to win the series, and he's been racing really, really hard this entire time to show us how much he wants it. And I think he shows as a really good example to the rest of the pro drivers on the field as they all try to chase that pole position and just how to get it done and just keep calm and do it.
Yeah, absolutely so. We've got some chatter in the virtual grandstand. Unfortunately, it doesn't scale up to the level of the AM racing, as we've got loads of supporters for the drivers in there, but a couple more. And yeah, specifically for Marley Joff's team, the Effect Simulations team, just pointing out the race that they had last week. And if you were here last week for Donington Park, you'll know that the weather played a huge factor in that pro race. And Marley Joff and his team pulled the correct strategy, himself and Cameron Brown coming in on that dry compound tire, and ultimately led them to win the race for Marley Joff, and also Cameron Brown gaining 20 positions overall. So great stuff there from the Effect Simulations team, showing that teamwork is indeed the dream work. And Joff has obviously got himself a good spotter for these races, trying to keep him nice and controlled up in front. And we'll hope that things will lean the good way. Corbin Lenaway is a driver we haven't had much chatter about in the past couple of rounds. He was very prominent during a couple of the rounds, such as Daytona and a couple of the other tracks where we really saw him compete towards the top side of the grid. Unfortunately, this time around, it's been a bit further behind you for the likes of Corbin Lenaway. Just not being able to find the traction in that Mercedes, as he's down to 10th position right now, 11th currently, actually, as they all fight. It's Nesov to Dragotta to Carr. Someone's gone off there, and there's a bumper being ripped off, and very unfortunate. Oh, someone's off into the wall on the left there, so very unfortunate turn one and turn two. Someone has not had a successful time there. It looked like one of the BMW drivers.
Yeah, that was not a good situation there with, might have even been Lenaway. We'll see if we can get a replay on that. But either way, Lenaway's in the pit. So indeed, that was Lenaway going straight off at Tamburello. I think that he was the one that was involved in that initial contact. As we take a look at the replay here, it's just, you talk about Lenaway, and commentators curse, but he has just not had the best of luck so far this season. A little bit of a tap there, so loses that. Not sure if he just lost, that is an odd place to just lose it and not be able to turn. So I'm wondering if that initial contact kind of bent one of the A-arms up front.
Yeah, that could be the first resolution, or it could also just be a very upset Corbin Lenaway, possibly just binning it into the wall there, but I doubt that's going to be it. Here's Leo Dragotta. He's also had an incident somewhere. On the downhill towards Ockerman and Raleigh, was there possibly a bit of a driver error here over the curbs? Under heavy braking, yep, that's enough to rotate a Mustang, even though it's heavy with all its 5.6 liters up front. It's enough to turn it around. And very, very quick recovery. He knew, I think Dragotta knew, being stuck in that position was he was bound to make contact with someone, and so he returned to pit lane as fast as possible there to not be in the way. And as much as it is a self-sacrifice, he's fortunately made it so that no one else has an incident out on track. So good sportsmanship shown there from Dragotta to get off the racing line as soon as possible. Real life racing doesn't let you do that, so that's the one perk of online racing, where you can just make your car disappear if you want to. But up in front, it is still Wilhelm Andre fighting onto the backside now of another driver as they continue to push on strong. This is a replay, I believe, unless you've got the wrong HUD still on. That's the likes of okay, all good. There we go. We're back to racing officially, and it is still Mr. Alexei Nesov. He's currently tailing behind Zurich and Grabowski, fighting each other very hard up in front. And he's going to potentially try and grab a couple of places here if he can.
We've got Ivanov and Morak in battle here that you're watching on screen. That is for the 6th place, as Morak actually has the fastest lap of the race, which is quite interesting, with a 41.98. But when you're stuck in a group like this, it's... Che, I've got to say, this has got to be absolutely difficult to try and break from this, especially when you know that last time by you had the fastest lap of the race.
It's pretty tough, but what you rely on is the consistency here. Being a fast driver is really, really great, but especially in a field like this where it's packed with really, really strong guys, what's going to come out on top is being able to hit that same lap time over and over and over again. Some of these guys might slow down because they're not hitting the laps the exact same every time, and that's going to create the gaps and the opportunities for maybe some smarter drivers or maybe more situationally strong drivers to get up front.
Hey, real quick, Tristan, just saw on the virtual grandstands, Corbin Lenaway checking in, couldn't turn after contact. So, yeah, something bent there in that contact in Tamburello.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Corbin Lenaway. And like we mentioned, and Nesov's just had his front bumper completely ripped off. I have no idea where that came from. I don't know if that's net code somewhere, but he just came through the right hand, and the bumper just decided to depart from the car. So Nesov's going to have a loss of downforce up in front. But back to what I was saying, it's... Corbin Lenaway has just had a bit of an unfortunate past couple of rounds, and it is unfortunate yet again to see that contact has been the reason that's taken him out of the race. So thank you for coming into the virtual grandstand, letting us know what it's all about. We were slightly confused as to what happened there, but thank you again for clarifying. So we know exactly what happened there. So Corbin Lenaway, unfortunately, seems to be out of this race. I'm not too sure if he's going to come back in after repairs. Let's hope that he does, because it's always good to finish off these races, no matter how long or short. As we do still have Gregory Hooverson, almost said Gregory Peterson. That would have been a mix-up of names there. but Hooverson on the backside of Peterson now. And Molly Joff, almost 3 seconds ahead of this pack. I mean, Jeremy, this man he's on an absolute mission to complete this championship.
Well, no surprise, Joff, one of the top road racers here in the iRacing service. And when you've got the likes of Pulisic and Hoverson sitting there with Grabowski, who are also fast drivers in their own right, who are, what, 2-3 seconds back of Joff? I mean, you're standing on your head when you're that far up. And, of course, Joff takes the fastest lap of the last time by of a 40.093. But, yeah, it's just Marley Joff's world. We're all living in it.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Marley Joff's world, and the rest are all just living in it, trying to keep up with him. Almost reminds me of from another league we commented on. I won't bring up the names or anything yet, but you know exactly what I'm referencing, yep. Jeremy. As we continue going around here, Hooverson on the backside of Peterson, and 0.3 of a difference between these two. The fighting is going to continue to scale up between the two of them, and we'll have to see if it's going to change up for the better. But down to 11th, we've got a long battle for 10th here. It is Cameron Brown who leads that battle for 10th to Kevin Rold, Malik Ray, Willam Andre, Zohair Ahmad, and the likes of Tyler Dunnett a bit further behind, but all of them tailing behind the effect simulations, and Cameron Brown being the teammate of Marley Joff. He's got the similar strategies being played. He's got probably the same spotter, probably sitting in the same Discord, ensuring that the team is 100% ready for the race after this and the rest of this race, because we've only got about 12 minutes left of racing here, and so the drivers will need to lock in now. They'll need to lock in and clock in to get those results. Nesov is dropping. What on earth has happened to Nesov? That's not Nesov, sorry, Zurich, apologies. And hoping that I don't know, I'm hoping that that's possibly just a bit of like a netcode or disconnection error, but Zurich is moving very, very far down this grid currently. Looks like a disconnection. I'm hoping it's one of the quick resolve disconnections, and we see him pop right back up towards the top. Otherwise, unfortunately, it's changed yet again, because Grabowski then moves up into 4th with Ivanov and Marotz behind the likes of Hooverson. As we still see the rest of the cars now coming across the grid, we do have Rob Odell in the virtual grandstand saying, "Go Moose Odell." And Odell, I believe, currently, let's have a look where they currently sit. And Odell currently down in 17th. Michael Odell, he's got the wife and kids cheering for him in the virtual grandstand. That's always great to see the family always on the supporting side of things, ensuring that the track side of things can be controlled by the driver, but the emotional side of things and the support side can be covered by the family. And so Odell's doing well, 6 positions up currently, 17th position overall. He's chasing on the backside of Hulsband, and with about 10 minutes left of racing, let's hope he can get a couple more positions here and climb further up on this leaderboard for race number 1, as all the drivers now cut towards the likes of Aquaman and Raleigh now. That battle is still scaling as Murazan is holding off against Hulsband and Odell up towards the top yet again for that 10-way battle. It is still Kevin Rold, and now it's moved up to the battle for 9th as Cameron Brown holds 9th, and then Kevin Rold just behind him, Malik Ray, and then Ghulam Andre in 12th, and all the rest all trying to get past. You can see there comes an overtake opportunity here just in the background, and yeah, that's on the outside for Andre.
You got to give it to all these drivers in this pack. They've all been really, really tight together, and in past races or even Pro-Am races, we've seen that lead to some really, really big spills. These guys seem incredibly focused in that. It doesn't seem like anyone's trying to make any mistakes as we close up the series. And I'm really, really, really impressed by pros driving. And just as I say that, we get a nice old bump draft over from Andre into the back of Ray. Did I read that correctly?
Yep, that is correct indeed. Andre to Ray. Oh, and there's the contact. Yeah,
right after I said, jeez.
Yeah, that's what happens when bump drafting gets a bit too aggressive. And Malik Ray rejoins right on the racing line of Mirazan, and hot tires, trying to get up to speed too fast, and that will do it for the Mustang to take it off. We'll try and get a bit. Hurry again! He's going to do it again. My goodness!
This almost mirrors what happened in the Pro-Am race with the unsafe rejoin, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
it really does.
I don't know. Yeah, go for it.
Especially around Tamburello. Geez, you don't want to make those bad rejoins there. As you see Brown trying to get around Rolled there for 9th place, as both of those cars going down into Aqua Minerale. But yeah, that was a very questionable rejoin by Ray. And man, I'll tell you what, not a good sequence of corners for him.
No, not at all. And sorry, I'm going to probably lay out my opinion a bit here, but I do not really expect to see something like that in the Pro Series. I mean, there's a reason we've got the differentiation, the AM class, slightly newer drivers who possibly are still learning the ways of racing. But I mean, come on. I mean, in the Pro Series, you should at least already have that skill and knowledge of knowing how to rejoin an active race circuit. I mean, Malik Ray had the possibility there of taking out over 4 drivers just from a dangerous rejoin, and not only once, but twice. So, yeah, I don't know. Something needs to be said over here. The drivers do need to get that into their head that a rejoin needs to be made consistently. You need to make sure that the coast is clear before jumping onto that active racing line, because when a big car is coming across, especially like a GT3 at over 250 k's an hour, it is not an easy thing to slow down. And that incident just leads from one to another due to how close the racing is. So a bit further behind, Lucas Souza, he's fighting now, down in 20th position, fighting alongside one of the Golden Pigeons as they go down towards turn number 1. And the big Mustang looking up on the inside line, but now Lucas Souza will take that inside line. Unfortunately, it gets blocked off, and he's had to forfeit it to the likes of Cuthbert in 18th.
Currently, it looks like Odell's got these guys just hawking him down, and he's doing his best to defend. I'm a little bit lost as the feed is a little bit messy on my end.
Yeah, no good. It's doing that on my side as well, but we just got to try and push through with all the sources that we've got. I'm seeing, from what I can see, it is in 20th position. That's Mike Odell as he tries to go around and back up towards the top. Nikolai Peterson holding off in 2nd position, and there we start to see things resume on our side. Nikolai Peterson holding that 2nd position now, and that gap, unfortunately, still major between all the drivers, because Marley Joff 3.5 seconds now to the lead of this race. So Peterson, Hooverson, they've got a long way to try and fight here, to try and catch up, because 18 minutes on the clock. There's only 7 minutes left of racing here, and Marley Joff looks to be confirming that race number 1 win.
I need to know what Marley Joff's secret is, because every time we see him at the front, he's massively pulling away from the rest of the pack. Is he just touching his toes a little bit less? Is he hitting his brake a little bit more precisely? The man's got absolute magic under him.
Yeah, go for it, Jeremy.
Yeah, you know what? I've got to say, when you're on, you're on. And that's one of the drivers that has it. I even pulled up. Here's the thing. So here on our timing and scoring screen, you could pull up their iRating, and the drivers behind Joff have a better iRating than Marley. So he's running a 7,300 iRating. Nikolai Peterson, 10,000. That's absolutely unreal. And then you've got Hovson with a 9,400. And even looking at Dennis Grabowski, Tristan, I'm shocked he has 6,500 with, Nessoff, 11,000.
Yeah, there's some big guns out on the grid yet today, but I think we had a bit of a chat about this at Donington Park, especially with regards to the iRating. Is I think those higher numbers, especially once you reach the limit of about 6,000 to 7,000, is that those higher numbers are just going to come from pure race experience. I don't think the speed is necessarily going to be that different, as we definitely saw it at Donington Park with the likes of Dragotta, who I'm actually not even seeing at the top here. So something's happened to Dragotta as well. But Dragotta, I believe, only a 6,000 iRating driver. And he's obviously, I mean, last week he was competing with Nikolai Peterson neck and neck. And I mean, like you mentioned, Nikolai Peterson, 10,300 iRating. So, I mean, the iRating change, I feel like it's got a cap somewhere for the speed. And then the rest of it just comes down to racecraft and experience, and that's exactly what we see. But with 5 minutes left to go here, this is where it's all going to change. Cuthbert up ahead, he leads from the likes of Souza and Jones behind, and this is how it's all going to be to play for. Peterson to Hooverson, and Marots has now moved up into 5th position. Ivanov is dropping. Something's happened to Ivanov. He's lost 2 positions now, so he's definitely found something off of circuit there, and Marots and Nesov move up into 5th and 6th.
Take a look at this replay here as Ivanov, once again, Tamburello just biting these drivers left and right. And you saw the little bump there, the little jump there, loses it. Oh, a little bit of a tag there. That doesn't help matters much. So Ivanov with an issue coming off of Tamburello, backs it in hard to the unprotected tire wall there, right at the end. So couldn't have been a worse spot by Ivanov.
Yeah, and there you can see rear bumper's just been ripped off. You can see how loose it's starting to get on the back end there, and that's where he's lost out to Marots and Nesov. And now he's even lost out to Tyler Carr in 7th, so Ivanov moves down to 8th position now. And that's unfortunate to see with only 4 minutes left to go of racing. You know, ideally, this is the time where you want to try and keep all that consistency built up and spread it among these final couple last laps, because this is where the time comes to shine. Joff, 4.5 seconds ahead. This man is on an absolute mission, and he is cruising up in front. So much experience, so much knowledge. And I mean, you asking Shay how he does it. And I think the big thing is that Joff really does favor the likes of teamwork. We saw it last week at Donington where they chatted about it. He has always got a spotter who's there to assist him. He's got a team within the Discord with Cameron Brown, and they're constantly talking about the strategy in the race and ensuring that they're all doing the right things. A couple of these other pro drivers, I think, are just racing solo. No one in the ears to help them with strategy. They've just got to make decisions here on their own, which for most is pretty easy and fine, but that teamwork and that second decision help will always assist the driver up in front.
You gotta appreciate a little bit of insight that helps these drivers get a little better on all their laps. Driving solo or even as a privateer is incredibly impressive, but obviously there's just some elements that are missing that are giving drivers like Joff those extra seconds on the entire rest of the pack for entire stints of races. It's really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely so. With now 22 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, we're about to hit 23, which means 2 minutes left of racing. Andre down on the likes of Ahmad now. This is the battle for 11th and 12th position. And just in the background is still the likes of, I believe, the likes of Tyler Dunnett. I don't think that's Tyler Dunnett's car. That looks like Lucas Souza's car, unless Dunnett is rocking the same livery. Not 100% sure. Ivanov has lost out again. And so that is Dunnett, so rocking the same livery. Both are part of the Aerokinetics team. Apologies, that's where it comes from. And so now this is the final crucial part of this race. It is now 2 minutes left on the clock. All is dependent on where our race leader is. And he has the battle down for 8th position. Kevin Rold on the inside line now of the likes of Gabriel Ivanov. And looks like he's been able to hold it or make the overtake. Unfortunately, can't remember if he was up in front. But remember that Ivanov has got that huge amount of damage. So Ivanov lost out to Rold now. He's about to lose out from Cameron Brown as well. And that rear end damage, even though it doesn't look too bad, looks like it is really affecting that Aston Martin.
And the Zohair Ahmad group also looks pretty tight as well, as Ivanov's going to lose that position to Brown through Tamburello. Side by side for position back there between Ahmad and Andre as they're neck and neck around Tamburello, if we can go back to that. And still Halsband also doing all he can to try and stay ahead of Murison, but too little too late so far for 14th. Oh, Murison with a nice defensive move coming off of Tamburello. So as we mentioned earlier in the AM race, everybody having somebody to race with, and Zohair Ahmad gets a slowdown, so he'll lose at least 1, maybe 2 positions. But I've got to say this, Murison taking the defensive line off every corner, and that's really slowing him down.
Yep, slowing down indeed, but the checkered flag is officially out. And where does Marley Joff sit out on the circuit? He's still coming across, I believe, down into Ravazza now, so that's why we see the checkered flag posted at the top, because he is coming through the final 2 corners. I know there's lots of battling going out around circuit, but it is also important to give the driver up in front the win and the camera angle that he deserves. Marley Joff will come across that checkered flag to finish off strong. That's 50 points on the board for him, and that's going to be a great lunge. If he can get a good result in race number 2, that's going to be a pretty much confirmed race championship win here. Obviously, we'll get the officiated results going into round number 8, but that's Joff to Peterson to Hooverson to Grabowski over the checkered flag line, back down to the battle here. It is Cameron Brown who moves up to 9th. Ivanov all the way down to 10th position, and he's now on the backside of Kevin Rold, coming through the next right-hand corner, and over the checkered flag there will go. Nesov takes 6th position, Tyler Carr, Rold, Brown, and now Ivanov comes across in 10th position. Ahmad to the likes of Dunnett and Andre, and unfortunately Andre loses out there to Dunnett on that final lap. Down to 13th he will go. Mirazan takes 14th with Halsband down to 15th position. He has another battle though still. It is Lucas Souza on the backside of Anthony Cuthbert, and they're going to keep their positions as is. But what a great race we got to witness here for race number 1 of the Pro Series.
Absolutely, 100%. We saw basically Joff dominance in this first race, and being that the grid is going to be flipped for those first 8 positions, we get to see if we're going to be looking at the same result or in maybe a minor upset before we get into the last round of the series. Yeah, absolutely so. But we've got your official round standings after that one.
and it is going to be Marley Joff who takes the win here for race number 1. Race number 2 comes up shortly after the 3-minute break. There you see Marley Joff to Nikolai Peterson in second position. Gregory Hooverson takes third, with Denis Grabowski taking 5th position. Marcel Marotz takes 5th position. Alexei Nesov to the likes of Tyler Carr. Kevin Rold takes 8th, with Cameron Brown down in 9th. Gabriel Ivanov takes 10th. Zohair Ahmad, 11th position for himself. 12th for Ty Dunnett. 13th for Gulam Andre. 14th position for Lowen Andre Mirazan. Then Halsband takes the 15th position slot. From Halsband downwards, unfortunately, looking slightly pixelated here on my side. I believe it's the likes of Andrew Herschel, Joe Manzoli, then Anthony Cuthbert down to 18th, Lucas Souza, 19th position. It then moves on, 20th to 21st. Michael O'Dell takes 21st position. Tyler in 22nd position. Corbin Lenaway down to 23rd. Malik Ray, 24th after those 2 unfortunate rejoins. Elliot Court down 25th. Aaron Zurich, 28th position. 27th. For Leo Dragada, unfortunately. Cadence Presley down in 28th position. 29th for Miles Brown. 30th for the likes of Alessandro Torchio. 31st for Savio Panicia. Kyle Robertson takes 32nd. 33rd for Andre Castro. And the final position being taken by Mr. Chris Wetz, who unfortunately didn't take to the grid yet tonight. But that is officially it. Your 34-car grid for race number 1 results. And what a great race it was. But 3 minutes of this warm-up, and then we head to race number 2. The 30-minute top 8 reverse grid order is going to be very interesting to see.
It really will be, especially with Joff having to start in 8th place. And it's going to be a matter, Shay, of how long will it take Joff, or I should say how many corners will it take Joff to get up to the point?
I 100% agree, but I also think that this brings up a very interesting strategy for all the other drivers in front of Joff. Now, we don't like dirty racing, of course, but some strategic blocking, or maybe just some strategic racing to keep him off the lead if somebody else wants it, would be insane to see for this second race.
Yeah, that would be lovely to see in the second race. And like we mentioned, it's the whole reason for the top 8 invert. You know, we mentioned that in Format A, the pit stop strategies come in, and that's obviously what brings all the action, because the pit stop strategy really does change things up. But in Format B, which is what we've got yet tonight, there is no pit stop strategy, as the race distances are just too short for the drivers to make it worthwhile to come into the pit lane. So that top 8 reverse is definitely going to play to be an interesting one, as Marley Joff will go all the way down to 8th position, and he's going to have to work his way up in the matter of a couple of laps. Like Jeremy says, it's a matter of, not a matter of what can Marley Joff do, it's a matter of when will he get back up to P number 1, because we all know that Marley Joff is going to fight for the win here. He has got the championship, the championship on the board here, and he could win it here tonight if he gets a good enough result.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can win it. But then again, like we said, he's Meyer back in 8th with Poulsen, Hofson, Grabowski, Nessoff all ahead of him. By the way, let's take a look at their grid real quick. Kevin Rold and Tyler Carr all on the front row. That's Super Lap Phase Mercedes up front. Then it's Alexei Nessoff and Marcel Moraz. Dennis Grabowski and Gregory Hofson make up row 3. Poulsen and Joff, row 4. That's Cameron Brown and Gabriel Ivanov, row 5. And row 6, Zohair Ahmad and Ty Dunnett.
Yeah, 13th onwards, we've got a couple more drivers to go. 34 cars on today's grid. Hopefully all of them grid this time. Gulam Andre down 13th. Lowen Andre Mirazdan will take 14th. Eric Halsband takes 15th with Andre Herschel down in 16th. Joe Manzoli from the No Content Racing team takes 17th. Anthony Cuthbert takes 18th. Lucas Souza, Aerokinetics, takes 19th with Gabriel Jones in 20th. Michael O'Dell, 21st position with Tyler King alongside him in 22nd position. Corwin Lenaway in 23rd with Malik Ray down in 24th for the 12th row.
And to finish off the lineup, we've got Elliot Cott in 25th, followed by Aaron Zurich. In 27th, Leo Gigrado, followed by Cadence Presley. In 29th, Miles Brown, followed by Alessandro Torchio. Savio Panici in 31st. Kyle Robinson in 32nd. Andre Castro in 33rd. And Chris Wetz in 34th.
And that is your official grid order going into race number 2. Everything stays the same as the results from race number 1, except for that top 8 that's been completely inverted. And there, just in the background, you can see the two-tone black and red Corvette looking down the middle section, trying to seize all the possible opportunities that he can do here. It's going to be Carpe Diem for him as he comes out of Ravazza trying to find a couple of positions, possibly coming down into turn number 1. It's going to be a difficult fight for him to do it, but he does have a couple of drivers who are pretty inexperienced up on the pole in terms of the Pro Series here for the league by Foxxtecca. I believe Kevin Rold's first time leading the race with Tyler Carr just up behind him. And Alexei Nesov, no non-experience there. He's gotten a lot of experience up in the pole position across multiple different leagues he's raced on. So this is a great starting point for Nesov here to potentially jump it and get up ahead. Alongside, though, is still going to be the likes of Denis Grabowski and Marcel Marotz. There comes the pace car. Watch for Kevin Rold when he makes the jump. It's been a bit unpredictable from the race leader for the past couple of rounds, but what can Kevin Rold do to keep himself neatly up ahead? Yeah, there he goes. The jump has been made, and he moves across now. And unfortunately, Tyler Carr has been caught sleeping yet again because he's got Alexei Nesov alongside him now going into the next turn. Alexei Nesov will have the inside line, and it looks like he's already lost that place. Possibly lost it to Denis Grabowski as well, depending on how they take this next corner. Almost contact on the backside of Nesov. Hooverson goes around, unfortunately, and into the gravel goes Gregory Hooverson. That is going to be his fight for the podium over as he goes last through turn number 1 now. And the likes of Nesov moves up into second position. Tyler Carr moves down to third position, unfortunately. Peterson is now fighting. Marley Joff moves up 1 position as well. And so the count is on. What can Joff do to get up to that podium spot?
We got Joff lost.
You're good.
I say Joff lost 2 positions. Sorry about that, Shay. Joff lost 2 positions off the start, so he's up 1. So that's interesting to note. But Nesov knocking at the door of the lead here with Rold, and one has to wonder, Shay, if he saw the mayhem ahead of him and decided, you know what, I'm just going to sit back, let the race develop, and seeing that he's almost on the back end of Poulsen, who's behind Moroz and Carr, it's a smart move.
I think that there was a lot of thinking going on there because I'm pretty sure we all know about the turn 1 curse, and I'm pretty sure what happened there was he preemptively saw that coming and just decided that he was not going to be wrapped up in that mess.
No, definitely not. As we now see 3 wide almost going into Ravazza. That would have been a complete mess up, but fortunately the pro drivers do know when to pull out, and the Marotz to Carr to Peterson, they almost go 3 wide through the next couple of corners. And going around, it is still the likes of Tyler Carr on the outside. It is a lot of bump drafting coming from the likes of Peterson. Joff is also now joining in. It's a 4 little square pack as they go down into turn number 1. Joff shifts away, though, as I believe he suspects a little bit of possible contact coming around. Nikolai Peterson, there's your contact as it comes through. And now look at Joff. What a gain from Joff. No! Joff is off the track. He goes off on the curb. And what turns into a massive advantage from Joff has been a complete letdown here in race number 2. Joff falls down to 23rd position. My goodness.
Whoa, that was completely...
Go ahead, Jay, go ahead.
That was completely unexpected. I don't think any of us expected Joff to be thrown off of that. But just as that all happened, we had Nesov go up and take the pole position.
Yeah, Nesov in the lead, and that is not something that Joff wanted to happen. It is definitely worst case scenario for your points leader, because now Grabowski, Poulsen, and Dunnett all within striking distance to possibly make something happen here through the race. But with Nesov up front, it's going to be so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, because Grabowski already 1.15 seconds behind your leader.
We've got full-on watch parties going on for Joff, it seems. We'll chat about that now as we've got Nesov. He's on the backside. This looks like Kevin Rold up in front. This was the change for the lead here. Kevin Rold, self-inflicted error. Off on the left he goes, and that's where Nesov got himself the P1 spot of this race. But it seems like there was entire watch parties going on for the FX simulation, guys. A couple of guys having their having the stream up on a living room TV, and they all just witnessed that live. Joff flicking off right off the track, and I'm just seeing a bunch of no's and arguments going on in the chat there. Very unfortunate. Tyler King, though, coming through, and just through the likes of Ariante Alta, and loses it over the big curb, and sideways alongside the track he will go again. Returns to pit lane to not be stuck on the racing line. And a couple of the drivers, a couple of the people in the virtual grandstand saying recovery drive incoming. 21st position for Joff, 27 minutes on the clock. Can he do it? Can he get back up to the top? Willie unfortunately forfeit a couple of points in race number 2.
I think that this would be also a really great time for Nesov at the front as another really, really high I rating racer to hold on, well, one, to create that far lead and hold on to it as Joff fights his way back. If he plays this right, Joff might not have time to come back to first.
Yeah, and that could definitely... Oh, someone's off.
Deep off track.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it, Jeremy.
I was going to say, he goes deep off track going into Aqua Minerale, and we got another spinner as Joff trying to make his way through this minefield. That's Hofson, who's had such a rough start to this race, and I've got to say, a lot of these drivers just wanting this race to be over as there's several slowdown penalties. Andre caught and Odell caught up in a slowdown penalty, but look at Andre, a great start for him, up 7 positions to 6th place as he's battling the car, Tyler car that is, for that 6th place.
Oh man, and I think we've got a bit of deja vu from race number 1. Let's go down to Cadence Presley in 24th, and I unfortunately think that Corvette is yet again missing a bunch of components on that car. Cadence Presley involved in that incident that we saw. Here's Mr. Cadence Presley's incident, and coming through the likes of Aqua Minerale, and a little bit of the curbs there bouncing around. Left-hand side, what on earth? Left-hand side collection. That's not something you typically see. What on earth is the luck of a car just being where Cadence Presley runs wide? And there we can see the view of that Corvette. Entire front side ripped off again, and Presley has not had a good running yet tonight. That Corvette is under supreme damage, and the fight we saw up in front was Hooverson, who went off yet again. The good part is, look who gained a bunch of positions. It's Marley Joff from 21st up to 18th position after 1 lap. And so he's making that recovery drive, but the question is how fast he can do it. There he almost loses it. He's got to be careful, though, of not being too aggressive with a couple of the drivers towards the back end here.
We've got some guys in the virtual grandstand saying that Marley just wants to give us an overtake show. So I'm going to hashtag the Marley Joff challenge, and we'll see how many cars he passes on the way back up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be absolutely fine to see what Joff can do here as he's up to 17th. Panacea, who had a bad race earlier, he's up to 16th, so 1.6 seconds ahead of Joff. We'll see what he can do, but Tristan, I think that Joff might be able to work his way at least into the top 10.
Yeah, definitely so. I don't know if that podium is going to be quite contestable unless something really does change up for him here, but top 10, I think easily. He's got a lot of time to play with here. 23 minutes left. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but in the 30-minute race, that's still a good over 60% of the race left that he's got to try and work with. And so let's hope he can do something with it. Yes, I've done it. He's got a good race going for him so far. 5 positions up. Kevin Rold moves from 1st all the way down to 6th position after all the changes so far. He started up in 1st after the top 8 reverse. And unfortunately, all the way down to 6th position now. Ty Dunnett will be contesting. There we see Andre in the background trying to look up on the inside of Cameron Brown, who's also made his way up. So at least one of the drivers from the FX Simulations currently up in the top 10. So he's racking up points for the team at least as he continues to go around. But Andre is not making it an easy one for him. And on the inside line now, Andre holds it, pushing him off sideways slightly, but no contact between the two. Good side-by-side racing. As all, back marker on the side, that's Murazan, who almost gets involved there with Cameron Brown, and there's contact. Cameron Brown goes off. Fortunately, not a big hit at all, and no positions lost there from Cameron Brown. What a great recovery.
Yeah, great recovery out of Brown, so able to stay, at least not lose too much ground, as once again we're back into these packs as Hall's been trying to close in on Andre. You see Joff now has caught up to the back of Cuthbert for that 16th spot. Let's see if he can make it happen here. Heading into Variante Alta, I should say Rivata. Always get those two closed up, but yeah, Joff just closing in ever so slightly. Look, he's got 22 minutes, Jay. There's no sense in pushing it because we saw what happened when we pushed it around Tamburello. He doesn't want a 2.0 of that.
I don't think he wants a 2.0, but I think that when it comes down to these situations, the driver risk and their ability is something that they factor. And I think that Joff is confident enough in himself to know that if he really wants to push hard, He'll know what he has to do to be careful, and he'll find his path up to those at least podium positions. I think that as someone that consistently wins races, there is no such thing as a time that doesn't make super.
As you're talking about it, Shay, almost.
We've got Goff and Cuthbert going into each other, just slamming into each other and holding it really well coming around those corners. You would have thought that we would have seen somebody come off again like we've been seeing all night, but they both keep it together sturdy.
Yeah, we're talking about the risks taken by Marley Joff here if he wants to try and get up. But the biggest thing to remember is that Marley Joff is in that best possible contention spot to take the champion win here. And, I mean, I think what we read here, and I'll read it again quickly to ensure that we're 100% correct, but from our calculations that we've gotten, Marley Joff, to win the pro title, he needs to score more than 61 points, and he needs to have a 39-point advantage to the driver in second going into the final round. So, the higher, the more amount of positions he gets here, even if it's not in that podium spot, the more positions he gets, the more points he gets. The points go all the way down to 40th, which means technically everyone in today's race is going to get points on the board. And so the more that Marley Joff climbs, even if he's able to just get up to the top 10, that is a lot of points up on the board. 10th is 58 points that's A format, apologies. 10th is 31 points in the B format. So still a lot of points that Marley Joff gets on the board here. And so he'll be working towards at least just the top 10, like Jeremy mentioned, or possibly even further up into the top 10 spots.
It might be a little bit tougher for him too, because I've also looked into the virtual grandstand just now, and as well have noticed that someone's reported that Joff's got some damage to the back of his car, and he's lost some top-end speed. So we might see that factor into his fight to get back up to those positions. It might be a little bit harder than he'd like it to be.
Yeah, that rear diffuser might be that might be a suffering right there. And yeah, you see a little wiggle out of that rear wing as well. So not a good race for Joff, but he's trying to make the best out of a bad situation either way as your points leader trying to close in on Panchi, and you see that rear end. Yeah, there's definitely damage there, Tristan.
Yeah, you can even slightly see it on the backside. The symmetry's been broken on the trimming on the backside of that Corvette, and unfortunate to see it. A, it breaks design, and B, it also breaks the actual functionality of the car. And so that will obviously just reduce the top speed, a little bit of drag being created on the backside of that car. And Joff is just going to have to try and nurse this home.
However, I do think that this creates a really cool opportunity for Panicia. We did mention that every time he's on track, he shows us a little bit of something that we didn't expect to see from him, like his bigger position finish in last week's race.
Yeah, I mean, Panicia, obviously one of the drivers who hasn't gotten much track time, but comes and wins himself one of the races. So can't exactly remember which round that was, but he's definitely won with us before here, and he currently holds up here. He won the rain race. I believe that was Donington Park was covered in rain. So, but I believe there was another track. It was Barcelona, I believe, where the likes of Panicia won up in front. But Joff is now just up ahead of him. And he's moved up in the past couple of corners. Cameron Brown, oh no, one of the other FX Simulations drivers dropping down the order. And he's got himself a yellow flag. Fortunately, it looks like it didn't go off, but he lost over 2 positions. Never mind, there he only loses 1. Hulsband into the wall. That is a hard hit for the Superlap team.
Yeah, and Hulsman with, he's going to go right back to the pits. So whatever he did there, it absolutely ruined his race. He did get a meatball flag out of that as well, as Joff now makes his way up to 14th. Here's the thing. He's got about 3 seconds to catch up to Ivanov for that 13th spot. So he's got to set qualifying lap times at this point to try and even think about getting towards that top 10 as we're reaching the halfway. So, Shay, I think that if there's anybody in this field that can do it, it's going to be Joff.
We've been saying his name all night, and it's literally just because he's been showing us. The man is fast and he's furious and he's careful. He's been picking apart this pack and fighting his way back up. He really wants that pole position, and we can feel it. Even fighting through the pack with a damaged car and messed up aerodynamics, he's still doing his absolute best to make sure he gets back up there.
Well, we're talking about damaged aerodynamics, but his last race was, I mean, his last lap was indeed the fastest lap, a 140. Well, not the fastest lap, his fastest lap of a 140.6 as he continues to try and climb up. But unfortunately, the drivers up in front from 5th position upwards, that's going to be the likes of Tyler Carr up towards Alexei Nesov. All of them are currently setting sub 141s, which is the same as what Joff is setting. So it's going to be a difficult one for Joff to try and get there, but he can definitely climb up towards top 10. Currently, Marcel Marat holds that fastest lap in this race session, 140.1 with Joff, currently with a 140. Trying to find Joff's name over here, down 14th, 140.6 for Marley Joff, unfortunately. So 5/10 slower per lap currently that Joff is running to the top runners from 1st to 5th position. So he's going to have to dig deep and work hard here. Oh, side by side, there was Zohair Ahmad and Gabriel Ivanov as they work their way around. And remember, Ivanov's got no damage on the rear this time around, so he can race purely with at the halfway mark. Now, 15 minutes left to go. It's all or nothing here for all these drivers.
And here's the thing, too, that our producer Jim is saying. This Ivanov-Ahmad battle is bringing Marley Joff back into the fold. We mentioned it was a 3.3 second. That gap is getting cut in half. There's Joff, you see in the screen, 1.7 seconds. So really, if I'm Ivanov and Ahmad, I know, look at the back, Ahmad knows that Joff is coming. He saw him off in the gravel trap at Tamburello. So he knows that Corvette is coming with a full head of steam. But I've got to say this, Tristan, it's going to be interesting to see if Ahmad just gives up the ghost or if he decides to race Ivanov to try and get 12 with that risk of Joff closing in.
Yeah, that's all going to be the strategy that has to be played here. Elliot Port finds himself backwards out on track there. And just by the pit spot, so if he did get a bit of damage, he would have been able to pull in and get it nice and fixed up. But still, it would have been a reduction to his time. But yeah, like you mentioned, that's going to be the question now of whether Zohair Ahmad wants to go defensive and keep his position in 13th, or is he going to attack Gabriel Ivanov and potentially lose out from behind due to, just not focusing on the correct target here. And I mean, looking at those lap times, Ahmad's best is a 141.3 and Marley Joff's is 140.3. So a full second faster per lap from Marley Joff in terms of best lap times. Obviously, their last was slightly different, but it is still similar to their relative times. But Anthony Cuthbert currently down in 27th position. He's trying to hold on 17th, sorry, not 27th. And on the backside now of Hooverson, trying to keep up with him. But Hooverson is wanting to pull away from those 3 seconds. And that is just up ahead on the field day. There you can see him going through the likes of Okama and Raleigh now. And so that is indeed Miles Brown on the backside of Cuthbert. And side by side, they will go now after a mistake they made by the likes of Anthony Cuthbert, and Miles Brown moves up into the head, coming through Variante Alta now. Into the right-hander they will go. Miles Brown has got the inside line, and he's able to control it, keep it, and maintain that position, moving up by 1. Great overtake from the likes of Miles Brown.
We've got a really interesting race on our hands because I've taken a look at the timing tower and I noticed a lot of our regulars that are usually leading the races for the majority of the series either aren't up front or are just unnaturally far in the back. We've got Panicia in 15th. We've got Hooverson in 16th. I remember we used to see a lot of Hooverson near podium or podium finishes.
Yeah, Hooverson just not having a good start to this weekend, to say the least, as he's closing in, but he's still falling back, and you see Joff has finally caught up to this Ahmad Ivanov battle for position. He's now 0.3 of a second. Remember, Shay, last lap, it was 1.7 seconds. So the fact that it's hook, line, and sinker for Joff is absolutely huge.
Oh yeah, he's eating them up like they're goldfish. If anything, he's got to worry about those big gaps that come around 8th place going upward.
Yeah, Shay, I was about to ask you, I mean, are you eating goldfish? Because, yeah, is this like some frat house? Is this some like frat house initiation? Have you been eating some goldfish, man?
Okay, I love goldfish. Those are one of my favorite snacks.
Yeah, it's the goldfish crackers. I'm assuming that he's mentioning, but let's hope it's not real goldfish. Then don't be terrorizing the goldfish colony of the common fish pick of all first time owners. They pick the good old goldfish. But back to the racing, though. I think that's a bit more important than Goldfish right now. Marley Joff on the backside of Zohei Ahmad. And like we mentioned, this is the climb for him. Trying to get up and score as many points as he possibly can. Yeah, 31 points up for grabs in P10. And obviously P10 currently held by his teammate. But he's only got 12 minutes left of racing here. Sorry, 11 minutes left of racing here now. And this is where the time begins to dissipate under Marley Joff. Currently sitting in 14th position. This is only going to render him 27 points on that championship standings. And that's not going to be enough if he wants to try and win this at the end of it. There he moves up into 13th now. So now he moves up from 27th, I believe, to 29 points, going from 14th. No, only up to 28th. So 1 point gain there. And so he's going to have to try and work it out. But up at front, it is Cameron Brown fighting off against Corbin Lenaway, who's having a much better race this time around. He's trying to break into the top 10 here. Let's hope he can do it and move up into the top 10 and potentially get himself a couple good results on the board before the end of tonight's racing.
Yeah, this Lenaway Brown battle, I've got to say. Here's the thing. Any battle we see ahead of Marley Joff is going to help him out and propel him into that top 10 position. Right now, he is 13th, closing in on Ivanov, running about the same lap times. But if Lenaway and Brown can't get their act together, Ivanov's going to catch up, Joff is going to catch up, and then we're going to see battle. Of course, if these two decide to, I don't know, put each other into the gravel trap, Tristan, then it's really going to be game on.
Well, I mean, we almost just saw that. Corbin Lenaway just touched the backside now of Cameron Brown through Ravazza, and so it's getting very, very close between the two of them. And now Corbin Lenaway alongside on the left-hand side going into turn number 1. What is it going to be? Going into Tamburello, and he's going to hold the inside line now. It looks like he's going to have it going into turn number 1. And great move from Corbin Lenaway. Let's hope he can not sacrifice more time now, because as you mentioned, look who's creeping up in the background. It's the purple Aston Martin V8 Vantage, and just behind him is the likes of Joff in the Corvette, trying to chase up on that 10th position spot, which is what he's ideally chasing for now. I mean, he'd ideally be chasing for the podium, but just not enough time and not enough pace to get up towards the top again. Nesov is looking pretty good, though. 9 minutes left of racing here. 1.3 seconds leading from the P1 to P2. Peterson to Grabowski, still a bit of a gap between them. And unfortunately, Hooverson nowhere to be seen for that top fight after spinning off. Cuthbert gets himself a black flag penalty, and that is going to be a drive-through. He's got to serve in the next coming laps, or else a 40-second lap time penalty will be added towards the end of his race as they continue now. Corbin Lenaway still holding that train, though, for P10.
What a shame to see that. By the way, checking in on the virtual grandstands, Rob Odell thanking us for the phenomenal broadcast, and he said this, quote, "Just wish my little brother knew where the gas pedal was while my family watches." Oh.
Some family rig issues, I'm assuming. Did someone come and touch a pedal maybe while Michael Odell was driving? I'm not too sure. I mean, I do see him drop. He's dropped quite off. That would be very unfortunate if a family member has probably come and jeopardized. That is, yeah. Well, all that, like, it could be an insinuation that he's slow, but I mean, he was doing pretty well in race number 1. He's a bit further down now, 22nd position. Hopefully we can get some clarity on that, because that would be, black flag penalty, unfortunately, for Michael Odell as well. So not going too well for him right now. Marcel Marotz gets himself up into 5th position. And commentator curse, unfortunately, for Mike Odell. Apologies about that one. Hopefully it's your who did you say it was? Your little brother driving and not you, because then we cursed him, but obviously we don't know. But still, the racing continues. Only about 7 to 6 minutes left of racing here. See what I did there? I didn't switch it around. I didn't give anyone a reference. 7 or 6. You can't do anything to me there.
Jay, I don't have anything. Go ahead, because this is great.
No, we've had a lot of fun stuff to say here, but getting back to the action, we've got Marutz and Peterson. Is this Marutz and Peterson or Marutz and Carr? Okay, Marutz and Peterson. Peterson being one of my favorites to watch, is one of the stronger guys up in the field. He's just routinely just been very good on track. So watching him battle right now with Marutz. Marutz also being one of my other favorite drivers, as well as his entire favorite team. I love watching these guys drive. I don't really I don't really know what to expect from these guys coming up. They're both very steady on their line. I know that the Sachet drivers are usually a little bit more aggressive, and that's kind of what I'm crossing my fingers to see here. But so far, holding really well.
Okay,
Jay,
confusion.
has nobody told you the first rule of commentary? You do not say your favorite driver, never. By the way, Joff now into 11th spot, and Jim knows how to break me, and that's kind of scary. Joff closing in on Lenaway for that 10th spot once again. And I've got to say this, I'm surprised that it took this soon for Joff to make his way into that top 10. I thought we were going to see a last gas pass, but then again, I doubted Marley Joff. I doubted his greatness. So I will apologize about that, but Lenaway knows that he's got a fight on his hands, Tristan, as he goes defensive.
Goes defensive indeed, but confusion cleared up in the virtual grandstand. So the person talking to us is Rob Odell. Michael Odell is his little brother currently in the car. So not a confusion of someone else being in the sim. Michael Odell is his brother. He claims that he's foster in sim and in real life, which is why he's in the league by Foxxtecca and Rob is just watching. But his joke was that when the family watches, of course, he's running towards the backside of the grid and not fighting up in front, and hence why they say he wishes he could just put the gas pedal down. So confusion at least cleared up. I was very confused there as to who was talking in the virtual grandstand, but Marley Joff up on the inside now of Corbin Lenaway. Through Ravazza he goes, and this man is on an absolute mission up into 10th position. He will move in those final closing moments of this race. 5 minutes left to go here for Marley Joff. What can he do? Could he possibly get one more position? It's a long gap, 3 seconds to Joe Manzoli, but the opportunity is there. Or will he go defensive and make sure that Corbin Lenaway does not get past again? And we'll have to see. Manzoli's about to be in a fight, though, with Andre, and this could slow them down drastically and allow the likes of Marley Joff to catch up for P number 9.
It seems that these
And
really...
that's exactly what... go ahead, Shay.
Thanks. It seems that what's happening here is that all these really aggressive battles are they're slowing the pace down with each other, trying to keep each other from passing, and it's just perfect for Joff. He's seeing this and he's going, yes, my time is now, and just flying right past these guys, or at least getting ready to eat up their bumpers while they're defending each other. This is perfect conditions for Joff to at least get back up. Well, he's already in the top 10. I think he can get to the top 5. But Tristan also keeps saying that there's not enough time. So fingers crossed.
Oh, there's still plenty of time. Don't worry about that. Don't listen to Tristan. Not a big deal. Bump out of Amat and Panicia as they work their way around once again. Oh, I thought we were going to see one in the gravel trap. But the way these two are racing, they may not have doors left on their Mercedes-Benz. Heading down into one of the tightest spots, the variant, the Alta. They go right, they go left, set up for the Ravazza double apex here. And Tristan, I've got to say this is an absolutely fantastic race.
Yeah, I mean, things have definitely scaled up, yeah. And I hope Joff can get to the top 5. That would be the best possible results. But with 3 minutes left to go, it's 1.5 laps or so left. And he's down in 10th position right now. So I'm hoping he can do something a bit more, maybe get onto the backside of Manzoli, but that 3.5 second gap is going to be a lot to break here. Marat, though, is in a much better position to make a last-minute overtake, though. 5/10 behind the likes of Peterson, and same for Grabowski, just behind Nesov, although Nesov has been holding very, very strong up in front of this race right now. It was a 1.7 second gap for Nesov up in front. It's reduced down to 8/10, but he's got just a bit of time left to defend. Savio Panicia has had himself a great race, though. 17 positions up on the board right now, 14th overall, and great stuff to see from Savio Panicia. Someone just mentioned in the virtual grandstand, great minds think alike. No! And he spins around with Ahmad through the hairpin, and unfortunately Savio Panicia just makes inside contact, and Zara Ahmad will move all the way down to 15th position after that tap.
This is, I'd like to attribute this to Panicia's show up and conquer mindset that he's been seeming to have this series. Even if he's not all the way up in the podium spots, he literally just does this thing where we may not see him or we might see him, but when we do see him, he's dominating something. He was fighting with Ahmad for a good minute there, and that was a great pass for him. A wonderful opportunity as Ahmad spins off track.
Yeah,
Joff down
wonderful
2.2
opportunity.
seconds behind Manzoli. And yeah, I mean, look, Ahmad is one of those drivers where, he's going to take those extra moves. But Panicia, a great pass here, up 18 spots, by the way, from his grid. Let's take a look at this replay from the Ahmad Panicia battle. And yeah, Ahmad just tries to Panicia puts his nose in on Ahmad through turn 7. And yeah, it was just game over for the Super Lap Phase driver.
Yeah, it was a super unfortunate one there to see from Ahmad going around. And Rob saying Panicia is on Verstappen level track limit testing over here. He's testing all the boundaries, trying to get as much lap time as he can over here. Joe Manzoli is holding off 9th with the 8 positions gained on the board. 30 seconds left on the clock, though. Where does our race leader currently sit? Alexei Nesov coming through the final corners here. 20 seconds left to go. Is this going to be final lap? I think this is. It's going to be final lap here. There's only 15 seconds. Now only 10 seconds to go. He's only entering the Rivazza left-handers now. And here we go. 5 seconds left. It is indeed it. Checkered flag is going to be waved. And first time we're seeing it that we're not doing one more lap, but that is officially it. And white flag was waved this entire lap. Alexei Nesov comes across the checkered flag line to take P1 with a great stride up ahead. Grabowski takes second, with Peterson a bit further behind, taking third. Marot will be a bit further as well. Tyler Carr and Kevin Roll did a great job to keep 5th and 6th position, and they've been able to maintain it. 5th position, top for Tyler Carr. Kevin Roll takes 6th. Tyler Dunnett down in 7th with Andre in 8th, and Manzoli down in 9th position. Corbin Lenaway will take the top 10. Great stuff for him. Molly Joff unfortunately dropped out again from top 10, moves all the way down to 14th position. What happened to the driver from Effect Simulations here in the final lap? Was it a bit of a grass touch? Oh, I see it there. A little bit of a grass touch going into Rivazza, and off into the gravel he goes on the final lap.
Oh man, I was rooting for Joff for a lot of this too. That was insane to see, man. He had a great run.
But here's the thing, even falling back as far as he did and still getting 14th is an absolutely fantastic race. Was it a top 10 like we thought it was? No, but still, Joff drove out of his mind to make his way through the fields. We see Elliott Cott work his way from 18th across the line. He'll finish right there. He's still got Herschel, Cuthbert, Odell, who's still yet to take the checkered flag. But I've got to say, this pro race had it all once again. And Nesov, what a great showing. And Grabowski, he's looking for a good finish, and I think this is going to propel him in for the rest of the first half of the season.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, we'll have to see how this is going to go for the final round for the rest of the drivers. Yeah, one race left to go, the penultimate round here, and one race left to go. That's officially the night's racing done and dusted. The only event left for tonight is indeed our interviews, which we're hoping we'll get a couple of drivers in. But I mean, we'll get your race standings up on the board now, and then we'll get a bit of a race debrief from Shay and Jeremy. But here's your standings after race number 2. It is Alexei Nesov who takes P number 1. Dennis Grabowski takes 2nd, with Nikolai Peterson taking 3rd. Marcel Marotz will take 4th. Tyler Carr in 5th, with Kevin Roll down 6th. Tyke Dunnett takes 7th, with Gilharm Andre in 8th. Joe Manzoli, Corbin Lenaway, Cameron Brown in 11th. Savio Pinicia takes 12th. Gregory Hooverson takes 13th. 14th for Marley Joff. Zohair Ahmad will take 15th. Miles Brown takes 16th. 17th for Gabriel Jones. Elliott Court will take 18th position. 19th for Andrew Herschel, and 20 for Anthony Cuthbert. 21st onwards is going to be Michael Odell, Eric Hulsband, Lohan Andre Mirzan, Gabriel Ivanov, Cadence Presley, Kyle Robertson, the likes of Aaron Zierek, Tyler King, Malik Ray, the likes of Lucas Souza, Leo Dragotta, Alessandro Torchio, Andre Castro, and Chris Wetz. Unfortunately, from Cadence Presley down to 34th, the only drivers not able to complete the race yet today after sustained damage or not joining the track at all. But that is officially it for tonight's racing for the AMs and the pros. I mean, any word from you, Shay or Jeremy, about how that pro race went?
That was a great race. I think that we have become accustomed to the pro races being a little bit more tame than the pro am, just due to the gaps in skill or whatnot. And this race really delivered. It was incredibly exciting. If the drivers made mistakes, they made mistakes that were at least really, really nice to watch. You know, they created some wonderful moments where we didn't know who was going to particularly be the front runner for both races, and I'm glad that we didn't have the same winner for both, but that we saw amazing driving from basically the entire top 15.
Jeremy, also?
And I knew this was, yeah, I knew this was the penultimate race of the season. Don't mind me. It's been a long day, but either way, I have to agree with Shay there. You know, we saw some fantastic racing, and any mistakes we saw, you know, yeah, there's one, maybe two multi-car incidents, but for the most part, if anybody had a mistake, it was, you know, hey, a self-serving mistake where, you know, you did it yourself, you didn't take anybody else out. And really, the talent here in the Pro Series is absolutely fantastic, and it has to commend to the AM Series as well. This is such a great championship for anyone if they can get in the, you know, the Foxxtecca Super Lap Championship. And I, for one, am excited to see how this develops into something big, because really this is one of the greatest kept secrets in GT racing here on iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely has been a crazy first season, and obviously we're on season number 2, and obviously season number 1 was locked to them in the McLarens, and still it really was one of the greatest GT3 actions we got to see on the iRacing platform. Obviously season 2 being that full mixed GT3 grid and just providing even more entertainment. But we gave it a couple of minutes. We gave it about 2 or 3 minutes just waiting for interviews to come in. Unfortunately, no one has joined in the box. I don't think we got anyone last week as well. Unfortunately, seems like the drivers are most of the Europeans wanting to get into bed very quickly. Most of the Americans probably wanting to get to dinner or just move on with the rest of the night. But we're going to call it here. Thank you very much to everybody who joined us here tonight. I've been Tristan Earps, joined in the commentary box by Jeremy Scott, beats by Shay, Mr. Shay Wilson, and obviously Mr. Jim Cunningham in the production booth, bringing you all the amazing camera shots here today at the Imola Grand Prix circuit. We head to the final round next week. Round number, I'm not going to give you a fake round number over here. I'm going to quickly double check it. I believe it's round number 8, though. Indeed, it is round number 8. We head to Laguna Seca for the final time here. The Format A will be coming to you live, 1 hour for each of the divisions. Pro and Am will be taking it out. It's Marley Joff, it's Mayo Dianarine, the two of them with the championship possibilities here of winning the championship on the final round. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.